phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
A guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that beautiful lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to PSGL once again for the final round of the PSGL E-Series Championship today, of course, at Brazil, where it's also one of the final streams on this game on a whole here at PSGL. Of course, we have the Monday leagues for the PlayStation side, but as you can see as well, unfortunately, Josh isn't with us just yet, being his Discord is having a bit of a hissy fit, and unfortunately, we can't connect to the voice channel, and we've tried everything else, which unfortunately does not work. So sorry about the rush and about it being a little bit late before we got our way into the stream, but hopefully Josh can join us very, very shortly. But back to the action, back on topic. Of course, we are here for the final round of the championship, where Ferrari pretty much have a 99.999% chance of winning it here tonight. Of course, they are 58 points ahead in the standings to Williams Esports, and of course, to win it, they need to make sure that Williams don't outscore them by 59 points, which I think is very, very unlikely. And we can see, of course, on the standings, it is Ferrari with 393 and Williams with 335, and Race Clutch in third on 316, along with F7R just 2 points back on 314. SRC in P5 with 255, 4 points ahead of Veloci Academy. And then about 10 points behind them is RHG Esports, who of course have departed us. And then in 8th is TF10 on 190. 9th is TES on 119. 10th NVR on 115. And finally it is ET8 on 22 in P11. Of course, remember guys, it is money being played for in this championship. £1,000 is the prize pool, and the winner will receive £450. Second place will receive £275. Third receives £175, and of course the best community team receives £100 obviously for that team. So you know, the likes of F7R here are on course to get that £100, but would also like to beat Race Clutch in the race to third, so they can also take away an extra 175, taking their total up to 275. So lots to play for here tonight for many teams on the grid, and we'll have a quick look at the lineups as well before we head our way into the session. And we can see, of course, TF10 have Felipe Sousa and Alex Santana. Ferrari with probably their best lineup of the season with Nicolas Longue and Barry Burmand. Race Clutch have Lenny Pipinta and Lilian Derbacourt. Veloci Academy have Shimon Lukomsky and Enzo Soom. Then ET8 have Bogdan Molnar, and I believe he has been swapped out for Zalan Bida. And alongside him will be Alan Banashak. And then F7R have Legend Rosenberg and Race Imtiaz / F7R _ Black Box. Wilson Hall and Nico Benz team up for NVR. TS have Nelson Alves and Jan Halliday. SRC line up with Louis Welch and Harry Lyon. Finally, it's the Williams team with Yannick Schmidt and Kian Godendorp. And I did see a message in chat there. We will be getting back underway as actually Discord seems to work. So hopefully we can get Josh with us and I don't have to talk alone for much longer. We'll pop ourselves onto the game screen as well while we get ourselves sorted out when it wants to load. Doesn't want to load for me today. There we are. Should load now. You should be able to see the game. We're going to try and get in with Josh, and then if that's possible, we should be able to kick it off and get underway with some of the action. Of course, the race will also go ahead regardless, but it's just not an ideal scenario to not have Josh alongside before the finale of the championship. And of course, with everything happening quite quickly, I had to rush through that also. Sorry guys if I was a little bit quick there in talking, but we do have a few cars now on track to start their first laps, of course, on a set of the intermediate tyres. First out is Nelson Alves, of course part of the TES team. Got P4 in one of his qualifyings back, I believe, in Imola, so looking to try and do quite well here for the TES team on their final outing in this championship. Of course, it's, I think, safe to say for both those and NVR, it's been a bit of a dismal championship indeed. Couldn't really get their foot off the mark at all in any of the first 10 rounds. So hopefully tonight they can try and get themselves a top 10 again. And we're going to see if we can get back in with Josh quickly. And on the waiting endpoint, hopefully we can get him. We'll stick on the Discord just for now, and hopefully it can kick itself into gear. But I don't think at the moment it's looking like it's going to work. If anyone has any ideas of how to somehow like glitch Discord or make it work, please let us know. Because it still says, for me, a waiting endpoint, which is not the message we want to receive from the game. And of course, there are fun facts from Josh. Williams last season have never had a Q3 appearance. So they will be looking to try and get into Q3 once more. I believe Yannick Schmidt was one of the drivers driving last time alongside Will Lewis, of course. Tonight it will be Kian Godendorp alongside him. And still trying to get it back in, but still awaiting endpoint. So Discord, we love you very much. Thank you for providing us with such a good service that only works every now and then. And we'll see what can happen. We've got Nelson Alves on a lap at the moment, though. We should be able to see him as he heads his way down in towards turn number 8 and number 9. Around such a brilliant circuit, of course, it is here at the Interlagos circuit in Brazil. You can pretty much go side by side in any corner around this circuit, which makes racing very, very good indeed. So we should have brilliant battles between all the drivers on this grid here tonight. As we can see, Nelson Alves now round his way up in towards Jun Sao at turn number 12, and then head his way up the hill through the Sabina de Boxes at turn 14, and then, of course, up towards the line after turn number 15. And it will be a 110 or 111-1 to kick off the session. Zalambida as well. He's on a set of the softs going early. We'll see what he can do. A 51.0 for his second sector split. We'll see what he can set on the board to obviously get a benchmark on the soft tyre. It will be a 17.830 to kick it off for the soft runners. And hopefully we can see a few more get underway shortly, as well as Jan Herdijk has made his way back into the session, of course, having a disconnect just before we got our way into the lobby. But of course, welcome in everybody. Welcome back for the final round of the PSGL E-Series Championship. Ferrari lead the way, 58 points ahead of Williams Esports, 393 points to 335. So they, hopefully, without, well, the only way that Williams could win this would be both Ferraris to DNF and Williams to secure a 1-2. So not that much pressure at all here on Nicholas or Barry, two of probably Ferrari's best drivers in their lineup, so they should hopefully have a bit more of a smooth sailing finish here tonight. Even if they was to finish 19th and 20th, they could still get the championship wrapped up. And Dylan, no, unfortunately, we've still got... Oh, hang on, as you say that...
Hello.
As I answered Dylan's question, Josh pops up. There we are.
Oh
got
my
it.
words. Took its time, didn't it? But yes,
Well.
we're here, finally. I'm allowed to speak, but it's looking like a cracking one here tonight, and I, for one, have been very much looking forward to it for a little bit now, since last week. But you mentioned it already with the standings. It is very much leading in Ferrari's favour.
It is, and luckily, Josh, you didn't miss too much at all. All you missed was me rambling on about the championship, the standings, and then 2 laps, one on the inters and one on the softs. So you've got with us right in the nick of time, if anything, at the perfect time, because you don't need to wait around. You can just watch the action unfold in around a minute's time. But Josh, predictions for tonight, what do you think could happen here around Brazil?
Oh, it's going to be absolutely manic. I feel like cars are going to be trying to chuck it 2-3 wide. I'm not surprised we've seen a couple team games as well being played, because of course it's not just the top prize they're all looking for. You already mentioned the prize pool being split, and F7R without Tiger Hardy tonight, of course, not allowed to race tonight after the disqualification in last race. It's going to be very interesting. I could potentially see Legend Rosenberg being able to pull something out of the hat here to try and close up and try and re-overtake Race Clutch for third in constructors standings. But it's going to be so close between almost all of these teams, because at the end of the day, you know, you sit there, you look through the standings, the majority of them are somewhat trying to either defend a position or go on the offensive and try and gain a couple extra points just to move them up slightly further.
Of course, and if you know, you might be thinking, well, where's Tiger Hardy, who's been here for every round in this championship? Unfortunately, after the collision in Las Vegas, he received a DSQ from that race, and also a ban from the rest of the season. Luckily for him, we only have this race left, so that's why we've got, of course, Legend Rosenberg, and we also had a swap. It will be Daniel Koya, not racing, not race Imtiaz. So we'll see what those two can do. In the team, I've commentated over those two quite a lot, so I expect quite a lot from the S7 pair here tonight in the AlphaTauri car. But hopefully, Josh, we can get some cars out on track very, very shortly. Of course, the first lap time set on the softs was a 107.830 from Zalambida, but we've still got, well, I'm sure many drivers who can beat that time. I think last season the pole was a 107.007, where we saw both, was it Max Fiesel and Istvan Pukki, Josh, have literally no gap at qualifying.
Yeah, it's been very, very close, especially between the likes of Max and Istvan. Both of them not available to race today. Of course, Max, if I'm not mistaken, announcing his retirement from sim racing, which come to a bit of a shock for me. I'm not going to lie. I think he did, yeah, on Twitter.
Oh, I'm hoping
he was moving to a manager position, I believe.
Max?
Maybe. I do believe so. I could have just got that one slightly confused.
I think you did, Josh. Because I haven't seen that at all.
Because I was about to say it would be an absolute shame to watch, the talent at such a majestic age go to waste, let's say. But we are getting drivers back out on the grid, and it's going to be looking like it's going to be very, very competitive here with Kean Gordondop doing what he does best, going out first from the rest of the field. Now, it didn't necessarily work out too well in Vegas, but it was still good enough to get him into that top 5. And then this Q1. Yes, Discord's having a moment. It is having a moment.
Oh, brilliant. Well,
Don't forget as well, it's not us. It's not just us suffering with this. The drivers are suffering it with their engineers, which could play a whole different ball game for a couple of these drivers. They're going to be alone out on track, no one to support them, no one to tell them when fast cars are approaching. It can make it very technical and very difficult here.
It can, and that is going to probably cause a little bit of an issue when it comes to stuff like strategy, as the teams can't really work together as much as they would before. But we can see now a few cars rounding out in towards turn number 9 and 10. On board here with Kean Gordondorp, heading down towards Junsau at the moment, and we'll see what he can do to get the second lap on the softs underway. Of course, Kean and Yannick, two drivers who we expect to be looking for pole position here tonight, two very quick drivers in the Williams team, and I believe both of them, even though it's been a while since Williams have had new drivers enter the team, they are two of the newest members of the Williams esports team. So we'll see what they can do as Kean now heads his way down towards turn number 1.
Yes, it's certainly looking solid. Of course, last time they had a qualifying ban around the circuit. Yannick was, in fact, racing in that race. He started P19 with a qualifying ban, and he managed to work his way all the way up into P4. He's going to be hoping he's going to be able to start slightly further forward to be able to put a little bit more pressure on Ferrari, because, of course, the championship can still be decided. There's only 6 points separating them, but if Ferrari have a little bit of a blunder today, anything can happen in sim racing. They could very much find themselves walking away with the E-Series title, although it does look very unlikely at this moment in time. But we're going to have to wait and see how the rest of the field somewhat pans out, because of course they have Nicholas Longe and Barry Burman both in the car. Of course, two phenomenal talents. There's a reason we see him in F1 sim racing. There is a reason we see him in PCF1. It's because they're some of the best in the business.
Of course, and realistically, Williams, Racecoach and F7R are all arguing for P2 in the championship. There's only around 20, I think it's 21 points separating Williams, Racecoach and F7R. And of course, that is for, obviously, the 275, the 175, and then, of course, 4th earns nothing, because we can see Kindergarten up head to line with a 107.386 to kick off the session. We'll see someone else come through who's not on the start of their lap. We need to find someone on the end of their lap as they head their way through towards the line, and we're still trying to follow through. We'll go on board here with Lukomsky as he heads his way into turn 9. Barry Burman to the top with a 0.265, as we can see Nicholas Longe also head his way up towards the line. He will set a 107.440, and we can see Felipe Sousa head his way up to the line in P5 with a 0.666, and then that will be one of the Aston Martins. That'll be SRC Harry Lai into P8. Then we can see Lukomsky as well head his way around up towards the line. We'll see what he can do, as he's going to look to try and get ahead of his teammates of Enzo Soon with a P6, and then Legend Rosenberg there, Josh, up into P2 there.
Yeah, he's doing exactly what he needs to do, isn't he? He's picking up the scraps, which Tycho Hardy quite often finds himself, in that top end of qualifying. Legend Roseberg doing exactly what he needs to do to really try and make a challenge to break through back into that top 3. Because, of course, the highest placed community team also wins a cash prize, but they can secure themselves a cash prize by finishing in the top 3 and then being the highest community team as well. It'd be a fantastic feat if they are even able to get into the top 3. It could be absolutely fascinating to see. But we do have the rest of the drivers finishing the laps. Shock for me there has got to be Lenny Papinta. A 107.7.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
a little bit off the pace to say the very least. I expect him to be shooting himself back at the timing sheets. But another driver we're going to have to watch out for, of course, is the SRC driver of Louis Welsh. Last time he was here in E-Series, of course, not racing for the SRC name, but he was able to worm himself up into Q3. I believe he qualified 6th there. So he's going to be looking for a similar result here tonight.
Yeah, well, we'll see what Louis Welch can do. I think he's one of those. He either has a really good day or a really bad day. He's never really in the middle. So hopefully it is a very good day here for Louis Welch, as we can see, of course, talking about Lenny Papinta. In PSGL PCF2 last week, he did win the Brazilian Grand Prix by 4 seconds. So I think it's a big surprise to see him possibly going out of Q1 here at the moment with a 107.705, and as well, he won the E-Series race in Las Vegas and then got second in Kota last night for F2. So, when you combine F2 and E-Series here for Lenny Papinta in the last 3 races, it's been a first, second. So he's been on some brilliant form, ending off this game, and I think Race Coach would love to have a victory, a back-to-back victory to end off this season.
Absolutely. It'll be a huge boost to their confidence, of course, with that final round of F1 sim racing still on the horizon. It'll be a huge boost to them. It'll be a huge boost to the Alpine team. I'm sure it's something they'll be working slightly closer towards, especially given, the position they're in. Yes, they are defending F7R. F7R very much with one hand tied behind the back because Tycho Hardy's not allowed to race. And also, their best finisher will have a 5-second penalty for this race. It was a decision made by the stewards. I'll be able to pull up a little bit more information in between the qualifying segments to explain the penalty in a little bit more detail. But again, you've got to think that could potentially be a huge blow for F7R's championship to try and overtake, get back up into 3rd. But is it going to give Race Clutch that little bit of extra breathing room they need to really try and mount a challenge up to Williams? Because for me, I feel like it could have quite a great effect.
Of course, and with the fact Williams and Race Clutch are separated by 19 points, this is still a big battle for second in the championship. F7R, of course, are a little bit further back. They also have that penalty they have to serve, so they are less likely, to jump up into second. So yeah, Race Clutch have got a lot of work to do. Of course, Lillian and Lenny, a very good team, of course, part of the Race Clutch outfit. So I think these two definitely could fight for pole. They can fight for top 5s and top 3s in the race, but also Goldenup and Schmidt as well. 2 very quick upcoming talents, of course. Yannick, we haven't seen that much recently. Well, at least I haven't seen him that much as of recent. But Kian Goldenup's always around, always racing and taking part. And all the time, Kian's one of those. You might not see him first and second all the time, but you never see him last. You never see him in the bottom 10. He's always around the points. He's always scoring good points. So I think he's a reliable driver. And tonight, he's a driver that's got a very good chance of scoring Williams a top 5.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing which always impressed me with Kian, of course, watching him back over slightly earlier in the game cycle in the likes of EOR, and then here in E-Series from when I filled in last season and this season as well, he seems to just get quicker and quicker every single time we see him, doesn't he? He's a phenomenal talent, a very young driver as well. You think they've got Kian, they've got Ishmael Fassi, they've got 2 of the brightest stars of tomorrow in that Williams team. So for me, it's going to be very exciting to see how they somewhat develop and see how they're going to be able to somewhat cope with the pressure here tonight, where, it's not necessarily looking like they're going to be able to mount a challenge to Ferrari, but if they find themselves in the correct part of the circuit at the right time, they can very easily find themselves getting a little bit of a handful and closing up that distance. And maybe forcing Ferrari into maybe 1 or 2 errors. But with that being said, you got to wake up pretty early in the morning to try and get one over on the likes of Nicholas Longe.
Yeah.
Or their entire Ferrari engineering staff.
You went again, Josh. All I heard was Nico, and then you disappeared. So I presume you said Nicholas and Barry. I'll presume that's what
Nicholas,
you said.
Barry, and the engineering team at
Yes.
Ferrari. Yes.
And Nico Ben's there, trying something a little bit different, I saw. He went on his out lap, and it looks like he's tried to burn a bit more fuel by going again on a second out lap here. So we'll see what the plan is here by Nico Benz, and we'll see what he can do and maybe get himself into the top 10 for the MVR team. Of course, now we head in towards the final minute and a half of Q1. Of course, at the moment, 8th and down are all looking to try and improve on their times. All those ahead think they're safe on their lap times. And we'll see now what Nico Benz can do. DRS Open now down towards turn number 1, Josh. We'll see. Can he get himself out of Q1?
Absolutely. I mean, Nico Ben's a very quick driver, but you can see him here manhandling the centre S's over the left, over the right, then running it through the Curve de Sol, all the way going down the Retta Aposta, but he's invalidated his lap. That's not going to be a good... well, I mean, that's it. He's going to be starting from P20, isn't he? Yep. No lap time on the... Well, he's got a 1:26.3 on the board, but that's not really a lap time we can compare.
What a shame there for Nico, because I don't think he can get back in time either. I don't think it's possible here. So Nico Benz could be able to qualify in, and with a 1:26.3, that is quite far off the pace, I've got to say. Big shame here for Nico Benz. His teammate, though, is heading down towards the turn number 9 and turn number 10, Wilson Hall, who should also be looking to try and find his way through into Q3. He's done that many times, I think, in this season. Maybe once or twice he's made his way through into Q3 as he heads his way now in towards turn 11 and then in towards Junso at turn number 12. We'll see what he can do here. He's up by just under a tenth of a second, Josh. So it could be him possibly getting his way at a Q1, but it's going to be quite tight because all the others behind will also be finding big improvements.
Absolutely, and it's just part of the nature around this circuit. It's the reason why the lap times are all so close. It's because there's such little places you can really try and gain on the rest of the opposition, but he does come across the line there in P10, with Harry Light putting himself P13, but we will see cars jumping around here at a rapid rate of knots. Of course, we've got Daniel there hopping up into P11, Lenny Pinto putting in a more representable lap time up into P2, followed by their counterpart at Race Clutch with Lillian Derbycourt putting it P7, Enzo P9. Again, they're flying across the line at a rapid rate of knots here. Keeping an eye on Jan Halliday here because he seems to have backed off his lap. He's not interested in completing it.
Of course, as we can see, Felipe says we're up into P11, and that knocks Harry Lyer to qualify. And of course, Nico Benz, I'm not sure if he's on a lap. He might be, though. He's heading his way through in towards turn 11 here. Is Nico Benz on a lap? He's got no battery at all. We'll see what he can do, though, as he heads in towards the next corner. He's up by 10 seconds. So actually, Nico might be able to finish the lap, but with very low battery, yeah, he's run out of fuel. So Nico Benz is out of qualifying, which means we have Harry Lai, Zalambida, Alex Santana, Alan Banashak, and Nico Benz dropping out to Q1. Of course, yet again, another double Q1 elimination for the ET8 team, and Louis Welch there, very close to keeping his way through into Q2. Was very close for a double SRC Q1 dropout, which is the last thing they want when they're still fighting to keep themselves ahead of Veloci Academy.
Yeah, absolutely. But Louis Welch, by the skin of his teeth getting through, you got to think as well, with the promise he showed... Okay, right, I'm not sure how much you got of that, but with the promise he showed in season... Okay, Discord's having a moment here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, right, is it going to let me talk? With the promise he showed in Season 2, you would expect him to try and break into Q3, but maybe getting caught a little bit unaware with the pace increase through the rest of the field. But to run you through the order for Q1, we've got Barry Boromand in P1, Leiber Pinter, then Lesion Rosenberg, Yannick Schmidt, Kian Gorendorp, Nelson Alves, Lillian Derbycourt, Simeon Lukomsky, Enzo Soum, Longate in P10, Felipe Sauser P11, Jan Halliday P12, Daniel Collier P13, Wilson Hall 14, and Louis Welch P15. But again, very close margins. From those which were able to set a representative lap time, you're looking at 0.4 of a second. It's ridiculous.
It is. It's very close, and around such a short circuit with corners where you don't really gain a lot of time in them. You know, they're not the hardest corners to take. It does make it very hard to battle for pole because everyone's so close together. So when we get in towards Q3, the gaps, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the top 10 are separated by 2 or 3 tenths. I would not be surprised at all because the gaps are so small. Like we said last season, it was Max Fiesel and Istvan Pukki separated by 0.000 of a second. Pretty much nothing. You'd have to go into the tens of thousands of milliseconds to figure out who was quicker between the two. And that is just an unimaginable number to think. So tonight quali is going to be very interesting. But remember, guys, it isn't all done in quali. No points are here in quali. It's all down to the race. 35 points for the winner. And then it goes to 28, 25 and so on down the field. So that's where the points really are. So you can try and fight for pole, but then you've got to hold yourself for 36 lap race, which is around 40 to 45 minutes.
Yes, of course. It's not only being able to do it over one lap, they need the consistency to be able to deliver on that pace over the course of a race, because of course points scored in the race is going to be the crucial part here. Even if you end up qualifying a P4, somewhat got to think, maybe not getting pole can be a slight benefit. If you're feeling more acclimated towards the race pace here, it can carry you so much further. Expecting a little bit of a DRS train to break out here, maybe a couple mind games with a couple teams trying to back up the pack as well. Should be a very fascinating race, but of course we've got to get through Q2 and of course Q3 before we can even consider getting to that point.
Of course, and I've got to say...
Just put us in. I can't wait.
I've got to say, sorry guys about the Discord bleeps. I can't stop them. And unfortunately, the servers are still dying, so you might hear a badunk, badunk, badunk here and there. I'm sorry, I can't really stop that at all. And hopefully, Discord can smooth itself out over this next session. But we can see Keenan going up now, heading down to turn 1 to begin his first lap of the Q2 session. Was one of the first in Q1, will be one of the first here in Q2. We'll get all the necessary things on the screen. The lap data, there we are. We can see the splits and the sectors here from Kian as he heads his way down into the Curve Assault, down the Reta Riposta, and of course into turn 4 at the Decido de Largo. We'll see what he can do in the first sector. A 16.8 is what Kian will achieve as he heads his way round out of turn 5 and then up in towards turn 6 and turn 7. I believe it is Frodura and Larangina, if I got it correctly. I probably haven't. I don't speak Portuguese very well.
Frodora. I'm not sure how you pronounced it because Discord decided to have its moment, but apparently they're rolling out some sort of smooth sync thing to try and fix the servers for us.
Oh, thank you, Lord.
That is about time. So hopefully no one's going to be distracted too much by the beeping which is going on. It's frustrating us as much as it is you guys. I'm sure Nathan's made his opinions on that one very much valid. But you've got to consider as well, if these drivers have Discord in the background and they're not... If the drivers have a Discord in the background, they're not necessarily able to somewhat find themselves in a position to be able to get into the zone to focus. There again, all by themselves, King got it up over 107.7, presumably on a U set of tyres.
I would presume that's the case, as we can see Yannick Schmidt there go to a 107.4 as he heads up towards the line. We've got Barry Burmand up to the top with a 107.248. His teammate Nicholas Longay heading round, as we can see Nelson Alves going to P3 with a 0.5. Yana Hardane to second with a 0.3. And what can Nicholas Longay do? Can you make it a 1-2? Yes, he can. A 0.293 there for Nicholas Longay. As we can see Wilson Hall head his way through his Lillian Dabacourt, goes up into P7. What can Louis Welch do? He goes up to... He doesn't set a time, so he must have been validated as Wilson Hall goes into P7 there, Josh. And hopefully you're back with us again.
Yes, I am back with us for the meantime, apparently. I'm not sure why Discord's decided to do this on the grand finale of the series. You would have thought they would have tried to put a couple of extra servers free for us over here at PSGL, but apparently we're not cool enough to deserve it. But I'll very much argue until the... We see Lenny Papinsa going back up towards the top of the timing sheets with a 107.2. That's the pace we're used to seeing when he is in PCF2. Phenomenal lap time. Real question is, will he be safe? Because we know the pole time from last season was a 107 flat.
Yeah. I think he will be safe on that, to be fair. Actually, it's going to be hard because all those are still on used tyres, so I don't think he will actually. No, definitely not. I forgot he's still got 10 minutes to go. So they will go again, of course, before we get in towards Q3. But of course, with the pole time then being a 107.007, I have seen 106s be achieved around here. So I do expect the pole time to be in the 6.9s, maybe even a 6.8 if someone can get a very good lap on the board. As we can see, Felipe Sousa now head his way back into the pits along with Enzo Soom, and of course with Lenny Papinta, who is currently quickest here in the Q2 session, was second in Q1, first here at the moment in Q2. He's definitely going to be looking like a candidate for pole position here tonight, of course, in the next session in Q3. There's still 10 minutes to go here, and at the moment, Lillian Dabacourt is in a bit of a compromising position, isn't he, Josh?
Yeah, but assuming that's on a set of used tyres, because we know Lillian's pace isn't too far away from Papinta's, we consider that, maybe a mistake in there on a set of used tyres as well to cost that extra 2 temps to the likes of Kian and Wilson, who went out on a set of used as well. Expecting Lillian to really be able to dial in this moment, reaffirm themselves towards this Q3 segment because it is going to be crucial for Race Clutch. It will be crucial for Lillian's confidence as well to be able to build on it heading in towards the race segment. But we still have drivers who haven't even gone out and attempted a lap. The likes of Simeon, Daniel, and Legend Rosenberg, both the F7R drivers decided to hold it into the pits, but both of them now out on track, looking to get themselves on the tyre. It should theoretically give them an open opportunity here where they will have been able to potentially save a set of tyres, depending on how well they're able to do this lap, how well they're able to nail it. You reckon an 0.71 should be enough to see him through comfortably into Q3?
I think it should, but then again, I don't know how the track's evolving. I don't know what pace the drivers have got yet to extract, so it could be, it's still a bit of a random number of what that, what that drop zone could be. Of course, those 11th down will be not proceeding to Q3. Of course, at the moment, that is Louis Welch, Felipe Sousa, Shimon Lekomsky, Daniel Koya, and Legend Rosenberg, but they have still got laps to get on with. We've got the two F7Rs leading the train of qualifiers as they head their way in towards turn number 10 now. That will be Daniel Koya, and then we can see as well there Nicholas Longe making a pass on Legend Rosenberg to, get on with his qualifying a little bit more swiftly than the other F7R as they head their way now down towards turn number 12 at Junsao. Pepinter also just exiting the pit lane, taking it a little bit different, taking it a little bit out of sync to the others. And I'm sorry again, this Discord thing is starting to get on my nerves a bit more. Hopefully, it's going to sort itself out because Josh, you was not with us for a minute then.
Nathan, it's every single time I try and make a point, it decides it doesn't want to hear my voice anymore. It doesn't want to transmit anything, and it pulls it from underneath my feet and leaves me square on my arse. But a driver looking to be able to pull the rug out from other drivers around him will be Daniel Kaya here for F7R, currently P14, but we know he's got the pace to make it through into Q3. It's just going to be a case of whether he's able to extract it around here. Thank you again very much, Discord. I still can't get a point across.
We'll see what Daniel can do as he heads his way up the hill in towards Forodura and Larangina, and then, of course, in towards turn number 8. Then, I believe, turn 9 is Pinarino. I'm still trying to figure out what corner's what on the circuit, and then Pico de Pato at turn number 10, and we'll see what Daniel Kaya can do in this second sector as he heads his way in towards turn 11 here. The long left-hander up towards the next corner down at turn number 12 at Junsao, and we'll see what Daniel can do on this lap as he heads his way all the way up the hill in towards turn 14, and then a bit of a kink at turn number 15. What can Daniel Koya do as he heads his way up towards the line? It will be a 107.3. We can see Legend Rosenberg as well heading his way up towards the line. What will it be for him? It was Barry Borman goes to the top. It will be a 107.5 for Legend Rosenberg. As we can see, Lekomsky as well head his way around in towards turn number 12 at Junsao. We'll see what he can set. Currently without a lap time, that knocks Wilson Hall and Lillian Devercourt into the drop zone at the moment. What can Lekomsky do as he heads his way up towards the finish line as Nicholas Longate goes up into second, and Lekomsky goes up into second as well with a .114. Brilliant lap there, Josh, from Lekomsky.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I'm keeping an eye on Lillian Derbycourt here. 6 tenths up through that middle sector alone, expecting a slightly more representative lap time from a race clutch driver here, able to move themselves up into P5, but we've still got so many drivers looking to get themselves back on the board.
As we can see, Jan Halliday into second.
Yeah, exactly. And Lenny Pepinter, once again, just edging over the top of Lillian Derbycourt to get back into P5. But you've got to say, from the TES of a Loche driver, very respectable lap times from both of them. Fantastic job.
Of course, indeed. And I didn't quite catch what you said, but I'll just agree with you, Josh, and hope I'm agreeing to the right thing. As
yes,
we can see,
good lap times.
At the moment, both of the TESs into the top 10. Now, it's a bit late for them to do anything about it because they are quite far down in the championship. They are 71 points back from P8. But it's a step in the right direction. It's brilliant to see Jan and Nelson in the top 10. Of course, both of these two brilliant drivers. Jan a double podium sitter in Challengers. Nelson also part of Challengers on the last game. So they've proven themselves to be one of the top, I think it's one of the top 50 best to exist. So hopefully they can prove that tonight in Brazil, as we can see everyone now heading their way back in towards the pit lane. Pepinter a little bit further back now. He will be heading in a little bit later, just wants to speed up so he can get in time and then prepare himself for his final lap, heading in towards, hopefully for him, Q3, Josh.
Ooh.
But
I've just had a message from
Oh,
one of your great friends, Will Gibson, saying go into Discord settings and turn notification sounds off.
What do you think I've tried doing, Will? I can't I've got myself on Do Not Disturb. Everything's on, everything's turned off. But because it's a connection thing, that still overrides it. So I don't know what else I can do. It's rather annoying at this point.
Yeah,
really. Oh.
No, it's getting to me. I feel like it's getting to the chat as well. But
we're sorry, guys. Don't shoot the
okay.
messengers. Shoot Discord, please. Shoot the servers. Make them buy new ones.
Okay, Will's given me a screenshot. If you go to your notification settings, disable all notification sounds. Apparently, for him, that stopped the sound. Might be worth having a little look to see if we can get that one sorted. So you're not going to be ripping out your eyeballs. Earballs. We'll go with earballs. Why
Disable all sounds. Your existing notification sound settings will be preserved.
Yes.
Let's try that.
Right. Give that one a go. Hopefully that'll be sorted. If it is sorted, thank you very much, Will.
Better be. Josh, can you disconnect for a second, please?
Oh, yeah, sure. We disconnect and wait 10 minutes to get back into the comments box with you.
Oh, dear me.
No, but we will be seeing one of the Williams cars rolling out the pit lane, and of course it'll be. Oh wait, hold on. This is a change of plans. Kean Gordon Dorp's not the first one out of the pits.
No, he's second.
There you go. Did you hear it? Did you hear the disconnect?
No.
No, there we go. It's worked. Okay.
Brilliant.
So now it's just completely look to if you're going to pass it over to me when I can't hear, and then we're going to have an awkward moment of silence.
Yeah, that is what's going to happen. So when you hear the 10 seconds of nothing, yeah, that's Discord's fault. But hopefully it all goes fine. And there's a message from Matt Zero saying it's not PSGL without its technical issues. Of course, honestly, it's like there's a vendetta towards F123. It's either EA or Discord, one of the two, every time.
It is the fact that when you read out, it's not PS, and then I disconnect, and then it reconnects for technical difficulties. Couldn't be more perfectly timed. But I do want to say once again, thank you, Will Gibson, for that little note.
Well, he's useful for once.
A little bit more watchable.
Yes. You just hear Josh say a half a word.
Yes.
But we can get back to the action now. We've got Yannick Schmidt, obviously first out on the circuit, wiggling himself around, getting his tyres warmed up, obviously doing the all famous brake drag to heat up the tyres. And of course that means heating up the brakes. And we'll see what Schmidt can do on this lap. Williams, they want to get out of Q2. They know they've got Racewitch right behind them. Pinter and Derbycorp have looked very, very strong. So they can't afford to both go out here in Q2. So a lot of pressure on here, those third down. And now, Josh, we'll see what happens as the chaos awaits.
Yes, of course. For the last moment in Q2, this will be a great opportunity for drivers to be able to get themselves into the final Q3 of the season and potentially of the game cycle for these drivers. I'm sure they'll want to end this one on a high note. We know F123 has been a trial of tribulation of certain feats and certain features in the game, but they always want to end it on a high. Yannick Schmidt looking to guarantee himself a place into Q3. We know he's got the outright pace to do it. We saw it last season. But will all the stars align for him here at Interlagos? It's going to be a matter of time before we find out, as we see him now chucking it into the Cedar de Largo before taking a run up at turn 6 for Ferradora. It's going to be a critical moment here to make sure he doesn't invalidate on the outside, but he'll know that. The drivers know that. They've all experienced this track so many times, regardless of whether it's been at PSGL, WR, wherever it's been. They've all done so many laps around Interlagos. They should know it like the back of their hands at this point.
Well, I hope so. Otherwise, they're in a bit of trouble heading out of Q2 because the practices, I presume a lot of them are practiced hard, and with the times being that close to top 4, separated by 30 thousandths of a second, they need practice in order to get themselves through into Q3. Yannick Schmidt up by quite a lot of time in that second sector, purple. Sector 2 there for the Williams car. What can he do as he heads his way up towards the line? What will it be for Yannick Schmidt? It should be near the top. He goes up into 4th. Then his teammate Godendorp. Where can he go? Goes up into only 13th, and that is Godendorp out to qualifying here in Q2. Next we have the two F7Rs. Daniel Kyer will be first. Where can he go as he heads up towards the line? He goes up into P10. That will definitely not be safe. What can Nelson Alves do? As it will be Louis Welch into P8. Nicholas Longue can't find an improvement. Nelson Alves up into P8. That should see him hopefully through in towards Q3. Next we've got a few few more cars left to come through. Wilson Hall up towards the line. Where can he go? Into only P14. Enzo Suma as well moves up. He stays in P10. Can Felipe Sousa deny Veloci Academy from a Q3 as Lakomsky goes to the top there, and Felipe Sousa won't find his way into Q2. What can Rosenberg do? To the line, he stays 15th. So luckily there for Enzo Suma, even though 4 cars behind him still had to set a lap, he makes it through to Q3 with the exact same time as Felipe Sousa.
Absolutely phenomenal. Lakomsky beating the qualifying Q3 time from last season, already here in Q2, just showing the evolution these drivers have all gone through. But I will start painting a picture here. This is an ideal scenario for Race Clutch. F7R, both drivers out, a Williams driver out, and getting both of their drivers through into Q3 in P6 and P7. They could very much be looking to secure themselves P2 in the championship here. We'll have to wait and see how well they're going to be able to do in Q3, but a fantastic run for Q2 there. Just chuck us in Q3 already. Let's get it going. I want this race. Come on.
What a session that was. And we can see is Lakomsky who leads the pack away with a 106.990. Barry Bormand in second. And Jan Harde in the top 3 for TES. Then we have Yannick Schmidt in P4, followed by Nicholas Longay in P5. The 2 Alpines for Race Clutch sit in P6 and P7. Nelson Alves into P8. TES making both their drivers through in towards Q3. And then it'll be Louis Welch in P9 and Enzo Soom in the top 10. Unfortunately, we did lose Felipe Sousa, Daniel Kayat, Kian Godendorp for Williams, Wilson Hall for the NVR team, and then Legend Rosenberg for the F7R team. And F7R, probably, Josh, I think this might be their worst qualifying this season.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I can't think of a time they've not got a car through to Q3. They've always got one car. Whether it's like a Hardy or not, they always just seem to have some sort of representation in Q3, or in the very slightest, just being on the nick of getting into Q3, which Daniel very much found himself there in P12. He's going to have a great launch to be able to try and get himself back into the points and put himself up in contention to try and battle the likes of Race Clutch drivers. And again, another note to mention, Veloci Academy, not only did they get Lakomsky with the fastest there, Enzo sneaking his way through, 2-on-1 fight here against SRC. They could be looking to try and overtake for 5th in the championship here as well.
Of course, as we can see, drivers heading out onto circuit now. The first one will be, I believe, Barry Burmand. It will be Barry Burmand who heads out first, and we'll see what he can do here in this session. And looking to try and get another pole here for Ferrari will be, of course, Barry and Nicholas, and we'll see what they can do. Of course, many of the drivers looking to battle for pole. Jan Halliday, TES, we can say for once TES have shown pace to battle for pole. This could be brilliant for the Mercedes-based team. Well, not really Mercedes-based team. They're in the Mercedes car, of course, racing for TES. So we'll see what Jan Halliday can do, of course, as well. Lakomsky, Pepinta, all being near the top in the session so far. So a lot of drivers, Josh, here fighting for pole. It's rare that we can name pretty much everyone, I think, apart from maybe 2 for pole position.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very close, very tight, very competitive as well. And considering we've had some quite big names drop out of this qualifying session already, you know, the likes of Nico Benz, Kian Godendorp immediately spring to mind because they're very, very quick when it comes to one-lap pace, as well as race pace as well. But with that being said, this is going to be a very tight battle for pole here. It's going to be interesting to see how they split their run plans because we could already see TES looking to try and get ahead of Barry Burmand and kind of control what's happening in the qualifying, but we will be seeing potential for a little bit of a toe down into turn 1.
Of course, as we can see, Jan and... oh, no, they're not. They're doing a double out lap, I think, aren't they? Oh, no, one's going to carry on, one's going to go into the pits. So I thought for a second then that isn't allowed, because I'm sure Slipstream isn't allowed.
Yeah.
That's why we saw Nelson go back into the pits. And Jan continue on his lap now to set the first lap in Q3, heading his way through the Curva de Sol down the Reta Raposta. And we'll see what he can do at the end of this first set. So what would it be for Jan Harde? It will be a 16.8, which I believe is quite far off there. I'm sure we saw 16.3s earlier on.
I'll keep an eye on Barry Burmand and see how he's doing while you're riding with Jan Halliday. Barry Burmand's just done a 16.7, so perhaps being on a set of scrub tyres, of course, not necessarily giving him the optimal grip around the centre S's, and then, of course, Curva de Sol to be able to try and push it through the Reta Raposta. But with this being said, drivers staying in the pits as well. But these drivers, more than free to go out on a set of scrub tyres, get a lap in, make sure they've at least got something on the board to try and avoid finishing 10th in Q3, because that is not... Well, it's clearly not the optimal place to start. I don't know why I went along with that line, but common sense would tell you. But certainly something that these drivers are going to be looking for is somewhat to try and see where the other drivers are going to feed out, what sort of run plans are they going to be going and doing, because we can see both of race glitches, Yannick and also Nicholas Longate rolling out the pit lane as we speak, as we do see them diving it back into the pits off a set of scrub tyres.
Yep, they won't complete their laps. What about Louis Welch? He's heading his way around out of turn number 12 at John Say. He's heading his way up towards the line. Will Louis Welch put it on provisional pole for SRC? No, he won't. He will head back into the pits. What about Enzo Soom? Will he look to put it on provisional pole here for the Veloci Academy team? I believe this is the first appearance here from Enzo Soom in this championship, so he would love to get himself onto pole position as he heads his way up towards the line. He will be putting it on provisional pole. What will the time be from Enzo Soom? It's going to be a 107.324 to kick off the session here in Q3. Then we have the two race coaches now on their outlaps. Brake dragging here, of course, from all of them, getting the tyres warmed up, getting themselves into the most optimum conditions here, Josh, to set their first laps in Q3. You've probably got 3 chances, I think, here to get a lap on the board in this session.
Yeah. The time ticking down as we speak, going now to bang on 8 minutes. Those 3 runs, they're going to have to be quick runs and make sure you don't invalidate a single time. But with drivers with the quality and caliber that we're used to seeing here in E-Series, these drivers know what's at stake. They know exactly what to do. They know how to prep their tyres. They know how to take the ultimate line through Yunsao as we see Lillian getting ready to fire up for this lap here. It's going to be fascinating to see what all these drivers are going to be capable of in this final round of qualifying on the F123 game. But let's just have a little look. Shall we ride on board with Lillian here for the lap?
Yeah, we will do. We'll go on board here with Lillian, Josh, as he heads his way to turn 1. Why don't you give us a lap attack? Because I think Discord has started to get itself sorted out.
Yeah, well, I would give you a lap attack if the lap wasn't invalidated. So let's ride on board with Lenny Papinter instead. We've just swapped Alpines as we're challenging here through the centre-S's, making sure you attack the curbs and hold it to the left-hand side here through the curve to solve, minimising the overall track distance before chucking it down. Bernardo Aposta with the DRS wide open for picking out the braking point just before that 50-metre board, cutting that inside curb on the left. You can run on the curbs. They're mostly very friendly around this circuit. There's only a couple I would highly advise going against before chucking it up into Ferradora here. Turn 6, make sure you hit both the inside curbs, run it out wide, then go late on the brakes, try and get that car rotated in. It's going to be crucial to get the rear rotated around this sort of section of the circuit. The Sector 2 can be so bitter when it comes to trying to get the car rotated, but Lenny Papinter is doing a fantastic job there. Now heading through Merglo here for turn 11 before repping it back up to Yunsao. It's such a short lap around here. It really gives you an insight for how little the drivers are able to really try and maximise the overall time on their laps. It's why we see all the drivers so close to one another. It's very much like Spielberg in Austria, but this time it's in South America, and it quite often causes a little bit of fireworks as Yannick puts himself on provisional pole, but Lenny Papinter has something to say about that with a 107.022. Fantastic there from Lenny.
Indeed, invalidation there from Nicholas Longue as Nelson Alves goes up into P3 for the TES team. What can Barry Burman do? He's also had an invalidation. Louis Welch is on a lap now. Lukomsky heading his way up towards the line. What can he set on the board as he heads his way up towards the line? What will it be for Lukomsky? It will be provisional third at the moment for the Veloci Academy team. And then we'll go on board here with Jan Halliday heading his way through in towards the end of the second sector now as he heads his way up towards Bico de Pato at turn 10. Back on the power in towards Maguglio at turn number 11. What will it be in this middle sector here from Halliday? It's a 50.394 here, looking to put himself around P3 or P4, unless he can find a really good final sector as he heads his way through. Out to Junsau, all the way up towards the line. What will it be here for Jan Halliday and TES? As he's got the foot to the floor, 8th gear, DRS being used to the line, and he goes into 3rd with a 107.094 there, just 2 thousandths separating himself and Lukomsky. As I think we can see Barry Burman is on a lap. He's heading his way into turn 1 now, Josh, so I think he's going to go back into the pit lane.
Yeah, but Barry's lap time was a 106.899. Despite the invalidation he would have picked up, you could only assume he would have gained a slight advantage by exceeding the track limits, but at the same time, it can very much be a double-edged sword. Sometimes you will get an invalidation and lose yourself a little bit of time. With that being said, what a battle it seems like we've got here for pole position. 50 thousandths of a second separating, what, realistically, P2 to P4, and then you're only, 20,000 slightly further ahead is Lenny Papinter. This is going to be ridiculously close, and it's what I've been waiting for all week. Just come on, let's get it.
It will.
Let's hear your predictions in chat as well. I'm interested to see what you guys are going to be able to cook up with the predictions. And Nathan, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What would be your chef of prediction?
Well, I'm going to go with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Pesso himself, Jan Hurday. He's a driver I've seen a long time in league racing. 7 seasons I've commentated over this man, and it's very rare I get to see him on pole. And he's got the pace tonight, so that is who I'm going for pole position. I shouldn't be biased. I shouldn't be like that. But at the end of the day, we all have drivers who we secretly like, a little bit more than everybody else. So my guess will be Jan Hurday. Josh, who are you going for tonight for pole?
I can be boring, right? And I can give you who I reasonably feel like is going to be able to set the quickest lap time, which would be Barry Burman. But I feel a little bit spicy. I'm gonna go Lukomsky.
That's
The
a
Lotche
nice
Academy driver. He showed the pace in Q2. He can break into the sixes. I feel like he just needs a little bit of rub of a green to get the traction down a little bit quicker. I feel like we could potentially see him, if not on pole, certainly on the front row of the grid.
Well, our 2 bets, Josh, are 3,000ths apart at the moment, so I'm glad I haven't bet on it with money, because I don't think it will end well for both of us, probably. Now we've said our predictions, they will be 9th and 10th, probably.
Where's Ivan Toney when you need him?
Well, yeah. Well, I haven't quite got the money he's got, so I couldn't bet that much. But yeah, I wouldn't think it'd be a very good idea anyway, because on this game, it'd be harder to bet than it would IRL F1, because we all know who you'd bet for pole, wouldn't we? If it was IRL. On here,
Yes.
You don't actually know, because anyone can take pole. That is the brilliance of PSGL, the brilliance of the F1 23 game. The grid is that close, the skill gap's so small. Everyone can get pole position when they're on a good day. As we can see, Nicholas Longate, Yannick Schmidt on track first, and then the 2 TESs, followed by one of the Veloce Academies, the SRC of Louis Welch. The other Ferrari, that will be Barry Burman, then the 2 Alpines, and it will be Enzo Su, who will be starting his lap last. Oh, it's getting. I'm starting to get a bit shaky now, Josh, into the final couple of minutes, and we got everyone fighting for pole, and the top 4 aren't even a 10th apart here.
No, I can't tell whether it's the caffeine I've had or whether it's the pure excitement from what we're about to see here, because Yannick Schmidt lead him away, but he's not being allowed to take this out lap to the full extent he would like, with the brake dragging, with no battery being deployed. He does have a Ferrari hot on his heels as well, which could potentially get a very nice tow heading all the way down towards the center S's, and then of course to Desida Delago as well. It could be interesting. I'm sure the Ferrari's going to slightly back off a little bit, not necessarily want to pick up the dirty air in 62, because that can cost you so much around here, but at the same time, I'm sure Yannick is very much aware of the situation he finds himself. Front of the grid, it's going to be his time to shine here for Williams to have any hope to hold on, or maybe even try and challenge Ferrari here in E-Series, but he will be starting his lap. The DRS is soon to be popped wide open, heading down into the center S here for Yannick. Fingers crossed for all the drivers to be able to get themselves the optimal laps, so we can see a great finale here to Q3.
On board here now with Yannick Schmidt heading into turn 1 and 2 on his final lap in the session. He's got to keep himself within the white lines as he does so through turn 1, 2 and 3, down the Retro Reposta for the final time, in towards the Desida Delago. Is he up in that first sector? No, he's not. He's down by 28,000ths of a second, so he has still got time to find in the second and third sector, and he has invalidated, so no fight for pole here for Yannick Schmidt. We'll go on board here with Nicholas Longate. He's also invalidated, so he won't find an improvement. What about Jan Halliday, currently third on the grid? He has got a lap that will be valid set at the moment as he heads his way down into turn number 9, then through turn 8, then into turn number 9 here, and then up the hill in towards turn number 10. What can he do in that second sector as he heads his way down to the braking zone? Hard on the brakes, back on the power, round in towards Maguglio. What can Jan do in this second sector? Will it be an improvement here for the TES driver? He's up by a 10th here. He's on for pole position at this current point. Can Jan Hurday take pole? Can TES get a result that they've been wanting all season long? As Yannick Schmidt enters the pits, he won't get any higher than second. What can Jan Hurday do as he heads his way up towards the line? What will he be for TES? It will be provisional pole with a 107.008. We've still got a few more cars left to come through. We've got Barry Borman onto pole with a 106.881. What can the leap to do is Lukomsky's onto pole with a 106.872. We've still got a few more cars left to cross the line. We can see what Derbicourt can do. He goes 7th. What can Pepinto do to the line? He goes up into 3rd position. What about Enzo Sum as he looks to try and take pole position tonight up to the line? He goes up into 5th for the Veloce Academy, so it will be Lukomsky on pole.
What a phenomenal lap time there from Lukomski. Being able to pull it out of a bag. When Barry Burman set his lap time, he didn't let that impact his result at all, with 9 thousandths separating the top two. What a phenomenal Q3 session we've just witnessed, with Lukomski grabbing himself pole position, Barry Burman P2, Lenny Papinta P3, sneaking into the sixes once again. Jan Halliday there, a solid result for TES. They're not going to be too disappointed with a P4. I'm sure they'll be more than happy with that indeed, especially with Nelson Alves picking up P6, Enzo squeezing in between them with P5, Yannick Schmidt there in P7, not being able to complete the last lap. Lillian Delbacourt not necessarily getting the improvement they were hoping to see. Louis Welsh getting up into P9, and then of course Nicholas Longue with the invalidation, not being able to get a lap time on the board. But with everything to consider, this should be an absolutely electric race. That qualifying was ridiculous.
It was. What a qualifying that was, of course, and it will be Lukomski on pole position for tonight's Grand Prix, but we will be back with you very shortly. We're going to have a quick word from our sponsors over at SRC and GT Omega, so we'll be back with you very, very shortly. And welcome back, everybody, after a quick ad break, of course, from our brilliant sponsors over at SRC and GT Omega. And I can see Josh looking for something. Josh, what are you looking for there? You're looking for
I'm
Bob?
looking for my Bob.
Is he got lost? Has he run away?
No, Bob has never run away.
Maybe he's gone to Brazil to support Louis Welch and Harry Lai.
Perhaps, because, I mean, starting P9 for Louis, not a bad result at all. 100% record to get through to Q3 and E-Series. Not bad at all. We'll say that at the very least. Harry Lai getting a little bit unfortunate in the qualifying, but we know the true pace that both those drivers can have, looking to get themselves a solid handful of points to try and expand the gap on the Veloce Academy. But with that being said, I mean, how much can we say about Suma Lukomski?
Brilliant.
What a great qualifying.
Absolutely brilliant from those two, of course. I believe P1 and P5 for the Veloce Academy team. And remember, they're still in a battle with SRC for P5, and that gap there is 4 points. So at this current point, it's looking like it is going the way of Veloce Academy, Josh. And to be fair, if you look at their results, they've had 2 podiums this season, and they're looking for a top 5. SRC also with having 2 podiums this season. They're just showing the consistency over, across this whole season. The consistency has been brilliant from those 2 teams. But the issue that lots of SRC have run into is they've only had both drivers in the top 10 twice.
Yes. It's been a little bit of a wake-up call, I'll say, for the SRC eSport team, of course. Brand new, starting this season, managed to squeeze through in qualifying. Fantastic job. But ever since then, they seem to have somewhat took a little bit of a toll and sat back and thought, right, okay, thinking about this long term, we've got good drivers, we need to start developing a little bit more. We'll continue doing that. We'll make sure we're all set and we're all prepped for next year's game, using this as kind of an intermediary to get themselves warmed up. But with everything being considered, being P5 ahead of the likes of Veloce, TF10, TES, Novus, it's fantastic for a new team, and it's just a pleasure to see it grow into what could potentially be one of the main rivals to the likes of F7R, looking further towards the future for both of them.
Of course, and the gap between S7R and SRC is 59 points, which means technically technically SRC
Yeah.
can still get P4, but the chances of that are very, very unlikely, even more unlikely than Williams taking the championship. So it looks like at the moment it will be £100 going towards the F7R team, as they obviously need to make sure they secure the best community team spot at the moment, which is of course them. Then we have SRC, the second community team, followed by TF10, TES, MVR, and of course ET8, who came in a little bit later. But yeah, this championship, Josh, it's been brilliant, hasn't it? Because it might not be the closest between the top two, but if you look down, you can see the gap between Williams and Racecoach, 19. The gap between Racecoach and F7R, 2. The gap between SRC and Veloce Academy, 4. Of course, when we had RHG with us, their gap was only 7 back to Veloce Academy. And then, of course, the big battle, which has actually been going on all season long, the biggest battle is for P9 and P10 with TS and MVR. They've been swapping round all season long, and it's been probably the closest battle this season. It's unfortunate that it's for P9 and P10, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, you sit back, you look all the way back to the start of the season, all those weeks ago, and you really sit there and consider, wait, okay, hold on for a minute. Are you trying to tell me that the people who are currently in 4th were leading the championship? A community team was leading the championship the first ever time in E-Series, and Ferrari were down in 7th.
Yeah.
And then a switch flicked at Ferrari. I'm not sure what it was, but they were able to get themselves back in form, got themselves racing, and then since then, they've never looked back. We've had a beautiful underdog story for F7R, but at the end of the day, sometimes the bigger dogs just come out on top. It's not always the case, but here it has been the case. I'm sure looking slightly further in the future, F7R will come with a more structured game plan if they do find themselves in that position again to really try and escalate it a little bit further, try and push themselves a little bit harder to be able to make sure they can hold on to those key positions. Because to be fair to them, they're still beating the likes of Veloce, and I think if RHG was still here, they would potentially still be beating them. It would be very nip and tuck, but from everything I've seen from F7R, they've well deserved the best community spot. And it just goes to say when they're beating 2 esport teams, admittedly RHG hasn't competed in the last couple of rounds, they've certainly done themselves proud.
Definitely, and I think the team will be very, very happy, of course. They were one of the quickest in qualifiers. I think it was Richard Sprogis that set the fastest lap time in the qualifiers for this season, for this series, obviously season number 3. So they've done a very good job. I think it's safe to say. I think a P5 will be more, or a P6 possibly will be more than happy for the team. Of course, to be the second best community team, I think S7R as well have kind of jumped leaps and bounds of what everyone thought. We all thought maybe they'll be fighting for a P8, P7 in the championship. Instead, at some points, they were fighting for the lead of the championship, which just shows their levels of consistency as well. And it just shows what this team can do, even though they've got less resources. But quickly talking yet again about Ferrari, I'm just looking at their stats, and I think Austria was their turning point. A P13 and a P18 for that team. And since then, they scored 7 podiums. Round 6 to 10, they scored 7. Round 1 to 5, they scored 2. That just shows that since that Austria result, Josh, they just turned it on and thought, right, we ain't got time to mess around. We've got to get those points in, and well, you can't fault them at all, can you, since then?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not exactly as if they wasn't running, the S-tier drivers they have in their department to really try and challenge, at the start of the season. They were, and for some reason, something just wasn't clicking for them. But ever since that turning point, ever since we've seen RHG pull off that ridiculous 1-2 around Austria, which to me is still one of the highlights of the season. Something switched with them.
Yeah,
they've been able to step it up. They've been able to put it into 8th gear, use a little bit of DRS, and they've been absolutely flying in this championship so far. But we're only a couple of moments away from being able to get back to the race and really be able to see what can happen down at turn 1. As we've got a couple of people in chat saying, I wonder who's going to bin it in the first lap of home. I'm not sure anyone's going to bin it because there's a lot on the line. And Shinanka Clay also said, I think SRC led it first.
They did.
You certainly did, Shinanka. You certainly did. It was a fantastic race start. All the way back. My word, that feels like it was years ago.
Oof, Baku, yeah, it was. Because it was Ishmael Faster that won it, but he got a penalty, didn't he, for speed? I think it was something to do with the Delta. So then Shanaka got the win, and I think it was Louis Valentin who took pole. Oh, that was a long time ago. I'm surprised I can still remember that. But yeah, nice little heads up, Shanaka, to remind us.
Yes, we've slept since then, but we are currently looking. Hopefully, looking at the pit boxes, we can see it's nice and sunny. The weather hopefully won't play too much of a big part, letting these drivers really maximise what they're capable of in this game. The engineering teams as well behind the scenes. We know how hard they work. They're working relentlessly backwards and forwards with the drivers to make sure everything is perfect for them. The last thing they want is a little bit of rain to kind of disrupt the flow or even a safety car. But hopefully we're going to have a very smooth race here for the duration of, I do believe it's 36 laps if my maths is correct, because normally it would be 72. So I think I'm correct there, but it's going to be a great challenge to see who's going to be able to take on these 16 corners to the best of their abilities. Real quick prediction, who's leading into turn 1?
Papinta.
Okay, great. I'm glad you didn't say P1 because it can be a very difficult. It can be a very difficult way to try and get yourself into the lead. Lekomsky putting himself up towards the start. I'm gonna just really quickly have a little sneaky peek here to have a look at some of the tires. We do seem to have a good mix, but we know what the drivers are like. They're more than happy to swap tires right at the very last second to try and fool those around them. But we will be getting underway here as we've got 5 red lights. Will Veloce be able to keep the leaders to 1, or will Barry Burman have something to say about it? And it's a great start there from Barry, but he is on that hard compound tyre, so Simeon will be able to get himself a little bit of a run as we see Lenny Papinta dancing around the outside at the centre rest. We're going too wide there throughout the majority of the rest of the pack, with Lillian Derbicourt trying to put it around the outside of the second part, heading to the inside of the Curve de Sol, but more than structured here for the race start. Very much either going too wide or just single file. Everyone somewhat following into an order, as I do believe we might have a little bit of lag there for Barry Burman, but he's been able to recover from the lag, being able to get himself hold on to P3, as Jan Halliday on that soft compound tyre is going to be looking to pressure him all the way through his middle sector, maybe even having a little bit of a look here up into turn 7, but it's going to be very, very brave, being forced around the outside here. We've got Lillian Derbicourt and Yannick Schmidt doing a very similar thing, but this time Lillian's been able to pull it off, and then Jan Halliday's been able to pull that one off there as well, as Barry Burman is falling down the order of his hard compound tyre. So far, it's been a very solid start. We are starting to see these soft compound tyres really working great for the drivers who have selected them, but how much longer will they be able to work for at this optimal condition? Because for me, you're looking about 6-7 laps maximum around Interlagos.
Of course, as we can see now, Burman under pressure from Welch and Alves down towards turn 1, and we can see Louis Welch on the rear of Nelson Alves looking to put himself into P5. Is the SRC driver into turn 1? They go at this NRS. He's been a contact as they head their way through, and it will be Nelson who still keeps the P5 for the TES team, as well as we can still see it will be Lekomsky who leads ahead of Papinta, ahead of Halliday in the top 3. Then further back we can see Davico looking to make a move here on the rear of Barry Burman as they head their way through into turn 4 and 5 once again at the Descida de Largo. And when can a move be made here by Lillian Davico? Looking to get past where he can, has to back off for now. Can't find the move up into Ferradura and Larangina. What about into turn 8? He sends it to the inside. Does Davico. Slight bit of contact as they head their way through. Barry can't defend that one whatsoever on those hard tyres, so I assume now it will be straight to move out the way to let Nicholas Long go through in towards P8.
Absolutely, and who would have thought we would be seeing the two championship contenders having a battle from P8 to P11 here? It's certainly going to be very interesting. Yannick and Byron both somewhat dipping behind their soft tyre counterpart, but it's going to be key now for Kian to be able to use that soft compound tyre to be able to somewhat navigate his way around Barry to try and get the best possible opportunity for an overtake on Nicholas Longue. But at the minute, it seems like a majority of these drivers are trying to get through as much ERS as possible to make the moves as early on to try and get themselves a little bit of track position before it all somewhat starts to settle down. But we're already on lap 3, and we've already got the DRS being activated, so it should just really add to the carnage we're about to see around here. And I'm not sure which way you can pick this one to go, but something is for certain: Lekomsky, Papinta, and Jan Halliday look very comfortable in the top 3 positions.
They do indeed. They look very comfortable sitting first, second, and third, and I'm sure they will be happy to do that for the next countless laps. I presume they'll pit around lap 20, maybe a little bit earlier, probably around lap 15, 16, probably, off of those set of soft tyres. And then we can see further back, of course, Barry Burman will go longer on his hards to make sure he can get more of an advantage over those who went early on the soft, of course, for that undercut. The overcut we know is very strong around many circuits around here. It's a little bit more difficult to pull off because you've got to make moves along, through a big DRS train, but the likes of Barry Burman, the likes of Yannick Schmidt should easily be able to work their way through a field. As we head down towards turn 1 once again, it will be Papinta who takes the lead away from Szymon Lekomsky. And he will now drop down to P2, and Jan Halliday stays in 3rd, with Enzo Soom right behind in the other Veloce Academy car. And VA are running 2nd and 4th, and TES are running 3rd and 5th. What a race this has been so far here for TES. I'm trying not to jinx it too much, as we've still got 32 laps left to go, but hopefully a podium could be on the cards for the team. Of course, they've had a couple of top 10 finishes. I think two to be exact, which, Josh, were in the last 2 races, so they're on some fine form as of Mexico and beyond.
Yeah, another one of those teams which hasn't necessarily always had the luck, but as of recent, they've seemed to have found themselves into another gear, similar to what Ferrari found towards the midpoint of the season. But for these guys, it was slightly later, but they have certainly been looking to try and acclimate as many points as they can, because they are in a titanic battle for 9th position. And yes, I say titanic battle for 9th position. It might sound like, okay, right, he's taking the mick, but I'm not kidding you. TES and Novus have been battling all season long for that position, and I know how much it means for both of the teams to really try and get that position and one up the other, because it can be so close, it can be so tedious. Thomas Enge, a team I wasn't necessarily counting on getting through in the qualifiers, but they proved me wrong. They are always there, they're always consistent, whether it's towards the mid-pack, the back, or the front. Whenever they seem to qualify in a good position, they seemed very, very capable to hold on to it, in their own accords. But we are seeing, once again, a couple more of these drivers using the DRS just to pull slightly closer, not looking for the overtake down into Desida de Largo. Could you give us a reason why?
The reason why what? They're just sitting behind each other?
Yeah.
Well, there's no point making moves. It loses your time. You can get yourself into contact, and if you're second and below, you want DRS. You don't want to be in the lead. You don't want to be, heading down towards turn 1 without DRS. That's what they're doing. And, you do see sometimes they do pull out of the train. That's just so they can cool down the engine, because they don't want a higher engine, because I believe that means they can get lower top speed or something, which is the last thing a driver wants. So that's pretty much why. There's nothing too complex about it. They're all very good. They can drive 2 or 3 tenths close to each other. If I did it, I'd end up hitting someone in the back by braking too late or by braking too early. But these guys, they can precisely brake at the same point every single lap, so you can trust them and you can know when they're going to brake.
Yeah, and it's something about the caliber of these drivers. When we get to the likes of PSGL, you sit there and you watch these drivers go around, and it can be very easy to fall into the trap of, oh, I could do that. But it can be, somewhat of a superhuman feat to put so much trust into those around you who you're directly competing with for such a prolonged period of time. But these drivers know each other. They've been sharing the grid now for the best part of 11 weeks. For some of those, a little bit longer, especially the eSport boys. They should know each other like the back of a hand. They know how each other race. They know they race hard but fair. And a lot of the times, it can very much be a very interesting thing. But Enzo having a very large snap there. He's lost his front wing, and it's a virtual safety car already at this early part of the race as Enzo sneaks himself back in there. It's P11 in the train. Daniel having to let off the throttle for that. But VSC...
Wow.
maybe not time for a pit stop, but I did see him just have a slight snap coming out of Ferradura.
Yeah, it'd be too early now, I think, for a pit stop. Way too early now to pit.
Yeah.
To set the mediums or hards, but... Big shame here for Enzo Sum, who's running in P4. He either had contact or he lost the rear, probably down at turn 6 and then plummeted
he did.
into the barriers. So big shame here for Enzo Sum to now be dropping to the back of the pack, as he will need to pit for a new set of tyres as the VSC goes in. Racing is back underway, and now that has enabled Keane Gundlach to have a very good launch on the rear of Barry Borman, who we couldn't get past on the last 7 laps of the race.
Oh, but have you noticed what Barry's done? He's tried to back the field up a little bit. He's tried to break this DRS train, but has Keane done enough to hold on to the DRS of Nicholas Longuet? He certainly has. You see that DRS flat being wide open. He's going to be looking at it with every ounce of his being to try and catch back up to Nicholas Longuet. Championship looking even more unlikely with every lap which goes by, but there's nothing like battling for a little bit of pride, and we know Keane is a very prideful driver. Yes, he's young, but he's got a cool head. Under these stressful situations, he's always able to maximise his potential. But you've got to consider, surely a little bit's eating away at him, thinking about how close they could have been to this title. It can be something which will dwell on his mind, but he's got to try and put that all to the back of his mind, keep his head down on that soft compound tire, and try and reconnect with the rest of this field. Because at the end of the day, all it takes is a couple drivers in front to decide they're going to deploy a little bit more battery, and Kitty can find himself falling once again out of that DRS range. But with Barry getting a brilliant run out of Junsao, he could be looking to try and get his own back here, going towards the outside here. But that move will be done long before the Center S's even comes through, with Yannick now following through as well.
Of course, as we can see, Keane Gundlach now dropped down to P10, and Louis Welch there, losing the DRS out of turn 12, and unfortunately couldn't quite get it down towards turn 1. He can't get it here down towards turn 4, which means Lillian Davenport is in prime position here to make a move ahead of the SRC car, but he chooses to sit back as he's not close enough in towards the braking zone at turn number 4 as they head their way round turn 5, now up the hill in towards turn 6 and turn 7. we can see further back, of course, the two F7Rs taking a bit of a different strategy here tonight. Mediums they will start on, so I presume they will go medium hard. That's what I presume they do here in this race. An overcut of, obviously if they want to go to the softs, they have to pit around lap 26. I don't think they'd bother doing that. That'd be quite long, because even though they could pit earlier, they want to be able, if you're on a soft, you want to push to the end. You can't do that unless you pit really late. So I don't think it will be soft to them. I presume it will be to the hard tyres, as we can see. Still on board here with Lillian Dabacourt. Now, does he make the move here, Josh, down towards turn 1? Surely he does, because he's only got a 2/10 gap, and Louis has no DRS whatsoever.
Yeah, it could potentially be a little bit of a risky move to get it done down into the center S's. Not only because of the nature of a corner, as we do see Nicholas Longuet having a little bit of a run. He's going to be looking to try and get the double overtake before turn 1. Brilliant stuff there from Nicholas Longuet. But then this sort of adds into what I was going to say, where it can be a little bit awkward because you won't get the DRS from the car in front because that DRS train is broken. Heading down into turn 4-5, of course, to see the Delago. It can be very, challenging for these drivers to really understand how effective a DRS and battery usage combination can be, especially around a circuit like Interlagos, where tyre degradation is going to play such a huge feature in a lot of this middle sector. When the car starts sliding, you can feel very uncomfortable. It'll lose you a lot of time, as it would naturally. But not only that, it can be certainly a little bit off-putting for the drivers, thinking, right, I might not necessarily have a braking performance heading into the center S. I'm just going to wait until it gets to Retropos to make sure I get a great exit out curve of Sol to try and go on the offensive for a slightly harder braking point with a slightly more natural flowing corner.
Definitely, as we can see here, Felipe Sosa on the rear of Keane Godendorp. So you start to think now, are these softs looking to become a little bit more underpowered here in this race, as Felipe is using some battery here to get himself ahead of Godendorp as they head down to turn 1. It will be Sosa ahead of Godendorp, and now he will be looking to try and fight for a top 10 position here tonight in this race. As we can see, Harry Lai getting back past Nico Benz for P14, part of the SRC team, of course. Those guys 14th down have got no they've got no train at all. They've got no DRS at all, sorry, to that top pack. So they're kind of running their own race. 14th down, as we can see Nico make a move past Harry Lai. We can see Wilson Hall look to make a move, but has to back off. As we can see there, Legend Rosenberg ahead of Keane Godendorp, and Kian dropping down quite quickly now. So I'm not sure what's happened here to him.
Yeah, that was some very aggressive defending, man, from Legend Rosenberg, pushing Kian all the way off circuit and going off circuit himself to try and gain that position and retain it on the corner exit. Kian, I'm sure, not necessarily going to be the biggest fan of that one, but everything considered, on that degrading soft compound tyre, he's going to be very fortunate if he's just able to hold on within the DRS, because with that heavier fuel load, the tyres deg a little bit quicker. It's very much like going back home after you've gone shopping, as we do see a Haas take a very wide line there. I do believe that was Wilson Hall, who decided to go for a little bit of an off-road excursion through turn 11 and rejoin the track to make sure he's got his braking point for Jun South sorted. But he's back on track. I'm sure he would have picked up a warning for that one, because he seemed to carry a little bit too much speed. But once again, no swap for the lead. Lekomsky more than happy just to sit behind and wait with Papinta.
We'll see here what the top two could do. Of course, with TES being in a very good position in third and fourth, they're on course, firstly, I think, to score the most points in this round. If they were to, finish like this, it would be 47 points scored in this round, which unfortunately would be nearly a third of what they scored in the whole season. So that's a bit of a poor thing about the stat, but also it's, a very good point scoring for them indeed. And the key thing is they can work together heavily, because us behind have not really got their teammates with them, whereas TES are together. The only issue they've got to be presented with is if there's a safety car. That would completely ruin their hopes of being sitting together. But the issue here that Nelson Abbas has is Nicholas Longuet is catching up quite quickly, and Nelson is looking to drop off the train a little bit now.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what sort of a response is going to be from TES. Whether we're going to be able to work together in an effective manner to be able to somewhat maybe pad a little bit of a gap between Jan Halliday and then the oncoming Nicholas Longuet. Because one thing is for certain, Nicholas Longuet, when he gets a sniff of an overtake, it's almost inevitable he's going to be trying to make it. He's going to go to the outside here at the center S. And Nelson Abbas decides to take the wiser line, breaks a little bit early to try and get the cut back, but you can just see he doesn't necessarily have that grip on the soft compound tyre. He's running all the correct lines, but something just isn't fitting right for that TES setup at the minute. And he's pulled down back into P5, but I suppose in the silver lining, at least there's a little bit more of a gap, so there could be a little bit of a potential in case a safety car does come out to lose a little bit less time. Won't be a huge amount, but it will be slightly less. And now he's also guaranteed that he can just sit in the DRS on Nicholas Longuet and wait for Longuet to pull up to the back of these front three.
As we can see, a brilliant battle here for P17 with Santana and Benz in towards turn number 8. Brilliant there. Side by side all the way up the hill, through the two right-handers and now in towards turn number 9 and 10. And we can see Alex Santana now making positions here for the TF10 team, who are having a bit of a dismal outing tonight in Brazil. A P11 and P16 at the moment. And hopefully they can try and get themselves a little bit higher in the order as the race continues along. Lap 12 of 36 now, beginning lap 13 very shortly, and it is still Lenny Pepinta who leads. Well, no, it won't be. It'll be Lukomski who leads into turn 1 ahead of Pepinta, ahead of Halliday in the top 3. Then Nicholas Longate will be in P4 ahead of Nelson Alves, and Lilian Davenport is looking to get himself into the top 5 here.
Yeah, it could very much be on the cards for Lilian, depending on how much battery Lilian really wants to try and deploy to get this move sorted. Because one thing I will say for certain is those two at the front are swapping DRS magnificently efficiently. All the way, going down into turn 1, not putting up a fight, understanding the role they're having to play to somewhat save themselves a little bit of battery as well. Both of them doing a fantastic job. And if you look at the battery levels of those front two, it certainly speaks volumes, both of them towards the 90% mark, while you've got a couple of other drivers in the field, not mentioning names, hovering around that 50% mark after deploying, trying to hold on to this DRS train. It can certainly be a huge part to play around this circuit, especially looking trying to get the overtakes heading down into the likes of a CNRS and to Cedar Largo, and maybe even trying to get a solid run out of Junsao. But we will be seeing Lenny Pepinta looking here once more to use a bit of battery, size up yet another move here on Lukomski to re-overtake for the lead of the race. And it's exactly what you would expect, efficient DRS swapping between the two drivers, but all of a sudden Jan Halliday decides to come and get involved, and then Lukomski getting swarmed down back into P3, losing a little bit of time out of that. But we do have a couple drivers already dived it into the pits.
We do indeed. It will be Nelson Alves, Harry Light and Alex Santana into the pit lane, and we can see yet again now Lukomski looking to close in here on the rear of Jan Halliday, but backs out as they head into turn 4 to concede that position of 3rd. And Halliday now looking to be in prime position to get ahead of Lenny Pepinta as and when he wants, and he will be looking to probably stick behind just for now, unless Lukomski looks to try and charge once more down towards that first corner into the centre S's. As we can see as well further back now, those on the soft looking to become a little bit more harmed, as we can see Louis Welch dropping down more positions, Yannick Schmidt making away past, and now we can see Daniel Kaya looking to make a way past the rear of the SRC Aston Martin, and hopefully we will see a few more of these start to pit very soon, so they don't lose much more positions on the track. Obviously those in the lead are fine because there's still many more cars for the hard runs to get through before they can reach that top 3. As we can see Pepinta still head down towards turn 1. Halliday in second, he will be making a pit stop. What about Lukomski? He also pits and will have Longue stay out, so it'll be Lenny Pepinta who leads ahead of Longue, ahead of Boromand, and then we'll have many more soft runners, Josh, head into the pits.
Yeah, very interesting call there from Race Clutch to leave Lenny Pepinta out. Perhaps not necessarily expecting the drivers to pit, or perhaps they were doing the opposite of whatever Lenny was going to do. But they've been able to respond with the driver, of course, slightly further down the order. The other Race Clutch half of Lilian Davenport, who's going to be looking to try and rejoin here. At least try and get in touch once again with the DRS of the rest of the field. And I do believe Lilian has had a fantastic stop there and will be looking to try and close that gap to Simeon Lukomski. Fantastic little bit of strategic engineering, but we know how powerful the undercut is. We can see it already with Nelson Alves getting a jump on Jan Halliday. Perhaps a little bit more team games to play here for TES.
Of course, and I think if Mr. Tomashangi is watching himself, he'll be very glad to see his team is sitting 1st and 2nd provisionally here in Brazil. Obviously, those two making their pit stops first, and now it is a TES 1-2 in Brazil, of course, with Lukomski and Davenport all behind. They will struggle towards the end of their stint because of all those who've still got a pit will be a lot quicker on the new tyres, but it's looking decent here for the team, as we can see Pepinta make a pit stop. Godendorp also get off of his set of soft tyres, and it will be Nicholas Longue who stays out on a set of the soft, with his teammates sitting just behind, and then one of the Williamses sitting in 3rd position. So we'll see here if this can work for Nicholas Longue by going a lap longer on his strategy.
It'll be a very bold call, but one thing is for certain, he is giving his teammate a little bit of DRS, which I'm sure Barry Bromland is going to be greatly appreciative of. Not only the fact that he's getting a little bit of a tow from a teammate in front, but of course he's also holding one of their championship rivals behind in P3, making his job a little bit easier, not necessarily having to go as defensive or, you know, thinking as negatively and looking behind him a little bit more than he would like to. But TES looking like they might have called the shots here, and now they're in a great position here to somewhat dictate the pace of the rest of this race. Do they want to try and back up the field and, give Alves a little bit of an opportunity, or perhaps a swap might be in order?
Well, I don't think backing up would be the right thing to do, because that would mean that helps those who have still got to pit. So I think their main thing is to push along, of course, defend from Lekomsky and just keep that 1-2 for now. Bring that gap down to those in the lead, as we can see. I believe Nicholas Longate not pit. It will be Vario who takes the lead, and Yannick Schmidt there looking for a bit of a late move on the back of the Ferrari as they head their way through turn 1 and 2. We can see Nico Benz making a move ahead of Zalambida for P8, and now we can see Schmidt. Oh, a bit of contact there then to turn 4 between Schmidt and Longate, and now Burman gets in the way to block, but still it will be Schmidt who gets ahead. Longate, he's got nothing he can do there here on these soft tires. Even though his teammate helped him, he couldn't defend the position. These softs are looking like they're going to be dead and more dead as these laps get underway.
Yeah, those tyres look absolutely shot at the minute, not necessarily giving Longate any form of grip, let alone the form of grip he was looking to try and get that move sorted there on Yannick. But Barry doing everything he possibly could to try and help Longate out, but at the end, it just wasn't enough. The tyres were not in Longate's favour, but Yannick on his hard compound tyres is going to be looking to try and apply a little bit more pressure to Barry Boromand, because it won't be long until we can expect to see those guys dip it off with that hard compound tyre onto a set of mediums towards the midpoint of this race, because of course it is a very interesting circuit around here tyre-wise, isn't it?
It is indeed. Strategy is key around a circuit like Interlagos. You've got to pit on the right lap to make the strategy work, because we can see them head back down towards turn 1. It will still be Barry Burman who leads the race ahead of Yannick Schmidt and Nicholas Longate in third position. And actually, this is a very good play by Nico, because he started on the soft, so he had the advantage. And now, because he's stuck in the DRS, he hasn't lost any time. He's still in that train on the hards. He's just on a set of the soft. So he will be in a very good position once he moves over to a set of the medium. So he could be definitely on a winning strategy here tonight in Brazil, as they all head their way round up towards the next couple of corners. And Enzo Soom, of course, having that incident at the start. He's down to P19, of course, on 11 lap old mediums, as we can see the two TESs have a swap. They're having a battle through and towards turn 4 and 5. They got Lekomsky up the inside of 1. Can he get past Nelson Alves? He'll have to try to defend to the outside. Does Nelson Alves? He can't do anything about it. It will be Lekomsky into net second, and Alves looking to try and fight his way through, but we can see there Lenny Pinta, he's loving this. He's waiting for a move to get himself ahead of Alves. Of course, tyre-wise, it is 2 laps separating Pinta and Alves, so we'll see very shortly, we should see Pinta make a move.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we see it heading into the centre S's, especially now we see the TES duo being split up as Longate finally calls it into the pits in lap 17. So he'll be setting on, presumably, a fresh set of medium tyres, and he'll have a 4-lap advantage over the guys he'll be currently battling with the likes of Harry Lai, Alex Santana towards the back of the field, expecting him to make up some brilliant moves. We saw a little dart to the inside there from Lekomsky, but decided to back off and didn't think it was going to be the best idea in the world to go for a move at centre S's. But again, Lekomsky really showing he's got a turn of pace here.
He's indeed, and Lekomsky would love to take a win here tonight in PSGL E-Series. As we can see, Lilian Debcourt now joining this very close train of the battle for the leaders. Alan Banishak also gets a 3-second penalty down at the centre S's. Unfortunately for him, it's not been a good day at all for ETA. It's seated 19th and 20th, 8 seconds off the train. This is the last thing they would have wanted tonight to conclude their 3-race season here in PSGL E-Series season number 3. As we can still see many of those in the top 7 staying out, still not making a pit stop, and we can see Jan Herde is on the back of Nico Benz here. They've caught up to the lead, well, they've pretty much caught up to the leading train. They've still got another gap to Rosenberg and ahead, but they're looking very strong here at the moment.
Yeah, and it gives them a little whiff of that DRS as well, which is going to come to great effect for Jan to be able to try and put a car in between himself and Lekomsky. It's just whether Lekomsky's going to be able to navigate himself away around Nico Benz in time before being held up here. As you can see, that delta now is going to be growing exponentially between Jan Halliday and Lekomsky, purely because Nico Benz doesn't have the grip on the tyres to be able to follow at the same pace the rest of the cars were able to do. But Nico looking just to try and slip back into the slipstream, trying to get any sort of pace possible, leaving the gap open on the inside for Nelson Alves to get through. And then, of course, Lenny Pinta is going to be picking up the pieces exactly where he left off. But Nelson Alves having that red flashing light indicating he is low on battery performance. Perhaps Lenny Pinta can smell blood in the water heading up into the centre S on lap 20.
That is definitely a possibility, as we can see Nico Ben still in this train, holding up Debecourt a little bit now as they head their way into turn 10. Debecourt goes to the inside, makes the move ahead of Nico Benz and into P9. Goes Lillian Debecourt, part of the race clutch team, as we can see further ahead. Lenny Pepinta on the back of Nelson Alves now, looking to make his way through into net third and into a possible podium position here for the race clutch team as they head their way back down to turn 1, of course. At this point, they would be actually challenging Williams for second.
Yes.
So
and
this is key.
That's incredible, thinking that, Williams might have everything somewhat sorted, wrapped up in the bag. They'll be comfortable holding on to P2. And then Race Clutch are able to pull out a performance like this, seemingly out of nowhere, getting both drivers through into Q3, when, of course, Kian had that little bit of a slump, not being able to get himself into Q3, and they've took this little bit of a gap they've been given, this little sniff of an opportunity, and they are running wild with it at the minute.
Of course they are, as we can see Longuet and Godin up swap for position down at turn number 4, and it will be Nicolas Longuet now into the top 9, of course, on a new set of mediums. 2 laps he's used on those, all those ahead have done either 6 or 7 or 5 laps on their mediums. So Longuet shouldn't take him too long to catch up to that train, and he will be looking to fight his way through and hopefully look to take victory tonight here in Brazil. As we can see Debecourt and Alves swap round position. We can see Debecourt to the outside, Alves to the inside at John South. Can Alves fight back? No, he can't. Down to P7 here is Nelson Alves. Jan Herde still has the lead strong though at the front ahead of Lekomsky and Pepinta. As we can see Daniel Koya make his pit stop off of his mediums. He should. We'll see what he goes on to here, whether it'll be hards or softs. I'm starting to think now it won't be softs, being as he has ran 21 laps on the mediums. What will it be here for Daniel Koya? We'll see in a second once he actually gets into his pit box. It will be soft. So soft here for Rosenberg and Koya, as we can see the leaders head their way back down towards turn number 4.
Absolutely, and they're all very much understanding the scenario they're in. Not wanting to go for any risky manoeuvres, considering Longuet has got a brilliant turn of pace on that new set of tyres. They don't want to waste any more time battling unnecessarily between one another, as we do see Nico Benz retiring from the session in the pit lane. Shouldn't cause any VSC or safety car, so hopefully these drivers are able to continue running at the pace they're used to and being able to put in fantastic laps. But Longuet really showing he has got a turn of pace on that medium set of tyres, putting in the fastest lap, and he's catching Louis Welsh at a rapid rate of knots. It won't be long until he's on the back of these top 6 drivers, trying to apply a little bit more pressure to potentially try and get himself onto a podium, if not a race win.
And another driver that's looking very strong here is Felipe Sousa, currently in 13th on 1 lap, old mediums. He will be looking to also fight for a top 10 finish here tonight in Brazil. As we can see, Rosenberg now making his pit stop, so he will drop out all the way to the back, well, probably to around P16 on the grid. As we can see, Sousa and Live fight down towards turn 1. It will be Sousa ahead, and into P12 goes the TF10 car. We can see now another move being made. Daniel Koya into P15 ahead of Enzo Soom. So we'll see what he can do. He's got a big gap to make up to those in the top 13. I believe it's yet 2.5 seconds to make. And then, of course, we've got other big gaps as they head through. As we can see, Longuet ahead of Welch and Burman ahead of Godendorp.
Yeah, exactly what they need to do. Ferrari on track here to secure themselves the championship here at E-Series. Very little resistance Williams can really put up at this moment in time, not necessarily being on the better set of tyres. Of course, Yannick Schmidt can always try and pull something out of the hat, but they'll have to have a massive blunder over at Ferrari to lose this title right now. But the main battle is going to be focused towards that P9, P10 spot in the championship. And I can't believe I'm saying that, because TES, what a race they've had so far. With 13 laps left to go, they're in a commanding seat.
They are indeed, and we'll see what they can do towards the end, Josh. But at the moment, there's teams that can work together so well. It's going to be hard for anyone to make a pass on them, isn't it? Like some Race Switch, Ferrari, and Williams are all sitting right together.
Yeah, and it just adds another level of that dynamic. You can even mention TF10 in that fact. All of them necessarily being in touching range of one another, where they're able to somewhat affect the cars around them, maybe take alternate lines, maybe go too wide at certain moments to try and block certain areas of the track. It is just another one of those fantastic aspects you can only really get here at PSGL E-Series, with drivers looking out for their teams, looking out for their teammates, and really trying to maximise the best result possible as a team. And with Race Clutch trying to maximise the best possible result, they could find themselves getting P2 in the championship.
And with 12 laps to go, Nicolas Longuet has got a 3-second gap to make up to Nelson Alves in P5, and then there in the main train for the lead, of course, that is Jan Halliday, Szymon Lekomsky, Lenny Pepinta, Lilian Debecourt and Nelson Alves leading the way at the moment, with the 2 Ferraris, the 2 Williamses, with Louis Welch in the middle, down towards P10. As Daniel Koya now up into P13 here, Josh. He could also be on a very, very good strategy here in the F7R team. His teammate, Legend Rosenberg, a little bit further down in P16. As I said that, it makes his way up into P15 as they head back down towards someone. We can watch the leaders once more. And, well, there's no point watching them because they never swap position, do they? They all just stay where they are.
Yep, they don't want to be leading this race. It sounds counterintuitive if you're not familiar with sim racing, but you should be familiar with the DRS chicken game. It's one of the favourites in the F1 community. Everyone loves to see it. It doesn't cause anyone any heartache unless you're on a pit wall supporting a team, because then it can get very nerve-wracking for these drivers. But these drivers are currently just sitting back in the DRS, making sure they're going to hold on to full battery for those dying couple of laps where they're going to dump the battery, look to try and make moves, and then that is where absolute carnage will happen. That's where I'm expecting to see the dive bombs heading into the likes of turn 7, turn 8. It can be very interesting, especially considering the great run they could potentially have, maybe going 3 wide down into the Cedar de Largo. I don't want to jinx it, but how many times have we seen drivers push it a little bit too hard around here and have contact? I can count on, I can count on my hands.
It's happened a lot, hasn't it?
It's quite a few times.
As we can see now, Longate get himself back within a second of the top 5. So now he's looking to push, make moves to help Ferrari get a double podium here tonight, as Barry Burman isn't that far behind, followed by Yannick Schmidt in that train from 6th down to 8th, and they now join the terrain for 1st down to 5th as they head into turn 1. Now we'll see what Nicholas Longuet does. He's got 10 laps to make this work. Does he sit back and make it when he can, or does he push hard and just try and force him move ahead of some of the teams? The issue they've got is they've got 2 race coaches working together here, so it's going to be hard to pass one. Never mind both, as we can see them all head down into turn 4. Of course, it's still Jan Harde who leads for TES, and the Komsky in second for Veloci Academy. As they head their way up towards Farajura at turn number 6, we can see Louis Welch now looking to make a move, or trying to just keep on the back here of Kian Godendorp, who unfortunately hasn't really made much work, has he, on those medium tyres. He's one of the earliest to pit and now down to P10, and all those behind, or a couple behind, are on newer tyres than him.
Yeah, it's not looking like it's going to be necessarily the best possible place for him to really be able to try and maximise his scoring potential, but we will be seeing the Ferrari cars harassing the rear of Nelson Alves, just trying to put him off balance. And of course, with those 2 Ferrari cars, Yannick Schmidt is hot on the tail of Barry Burman, just trying to follow whatever they do in trying to do it as smooth as possible. But of course, when you're trying to get 2 cars past 1 car, it's already challenging enough, let alone trying to sneak your own car through as well. It can certainly be a very challenging aspect, but Nicholas Longuet taking towards the outside of a centre S, getting him a move sorted nice and early on Nelson Alves. Nelson not really putting up too much of a fight, knowing the position he's in on those 13-lap old tyres. They'll be screaming at this point. They won't be feeling the best, especially in comparison to those Ferrari tyres.
Indeed, we've had an incident down at the final couple of corners. That'll be Alan Banashak having a spin. He continues on. Luckily, no more yellow flags and no more safety cars at this current point, as we can see now. Yannick Schmidt making a move on the outside here of Nelson Alves to the outside. It goes. Brilliant move there by the Williams of Yannick Schmidt into P7. It goes, and Alves now down to P8, looking even less likely here for TES to get both drivers into the top 10. But the good thing for him is it's a 5-second gap back to Godendorp in P10, so hopefully he can still finish around that top 8 or top 9 here tonight. So it will still be Jan Harde who leads ahead of Kopsky, ahead of Pinter. And then the 2 Ferraris sitting P5 and P6 here, just looking to get on with it quite quickly. Now we can see Longate on the back of Debacore here.
Yeah, and as things stand, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe Race Clutch would be able to get P2 in the championship. They're going to have to try. I've just done the maths. As long as things stand, they will be getting it. But that's not including potential stewarding penalties. And then, of course, that's also not including that Williams gain any more positions in the remainder of this race, because it is very nip and tuck. I do believe they would only secure it by 3 points. So they're going to either have to go on the offensive and try and get a couple more points on the likes of Simeon Lukomsky and Jan Halde's expense, or put up some sort of defensive masterclass with Ferrari to make sure Yannick doesn't gain any more positions, because Yannick is looking very, very quick at the moment. But I don't think he's looking directly to try and challenge Ferrari for positions. He wants to try and find his way through. Never mind, Yannick, completely ignore what I say and go for a very late move on the inside of Barry Burman, which of course will turn it back to the outside, but the nature of Interlagos X2 brings it all the way back on the inside for turn 10. Brilliant stuff there from Yannick, getting himself up a position. Now Race Clutch really need to get a move on.
They do indeed. We'll see here what Schmidt can do. As we can see, Longe looking for a move here on the back of Derbacourt in towards turn 12 at Junsao. It will be Longe now into P4 ahead of Derbacourt. Then we've got Schmidt as well looking to get his way through and make a move into P5 possibly, or even P4 if he can find his way past Longe as well. As we can see at the front, we can see Papinta looking to take second from Lekomsky, and Derbacourt still sticking it round the outside into the centre S's. Can he keep the position here ahead of Schmidt? I don't think he can, because Schmidt has got better tyres. Bit of contact as they head their way through the Curva de Sol. Down towards the Ezra Apostle, in towards the Cida de Largo, and I think Schmidt has got that move covered. I think he has got the move covered as they head in towards turn number 4. And Lekomsky still looking to find a way past Papinta.
Absolutely. Lekomsky knowing that in this case, the last thing he wants to do is be in the direct firing line of the likes of Nicholas Longe, Yannick Schmidt directly behind him. He wants to have a little bit of a buffer. He wants to use Lenny Papinta as a bit of a mobile chicane to the faster cars behind, but Lenny Papinta is very much aware of what other drivers are wanting to do. He doesn't want to be in that position of being a mobile chicane. He wants someone else to be. So it's very much going to be a juggle for who doesn't want to be P3. But we've seen time and time again cars being able to overtake in a tandem up in towards turn 1. I'm sure Lekomsky's going to be looking to try and get a little bit of a super suck with the slipstream to try and be able to breeze himself past the 2 cars, but he's a little bit too far back on this occasion. But you'll be able to see just the true power of the slipstream, a little bit of battery and the DRS being wide open as Lenny Papinta now goes to the outside to take the lead for turn 1, and you can already see Lekomsky already trying to put a little bit of challenge on Jan Halliday into the centre S's.
Yeah, 6 laps to go here in this race, and it is Papinta who leads the race ahead of Jan Halliday and Lekomsky. As we can see there, Godendorp making a move ahead of Louis Welch. Louis still keeps it up the inside here of the Williams Esports car, but of course the penalty here for Welch means that he will drop that position either way. As we can see the front runners yet again looking to try and pull away, and the issue is now Sousa is right behind them here on the 9-lap-old mediums. He could also be looking to try and make a good position here, a good finishing position. As we can see, Barry Burman's making a late send here on Derbacourt into turn number 8, and a big send from the Ferrari. Though it has to be the outside here for Derbacourt. Can he defend to the outside? It's going to be a struggle here for Lillian. I don't think he can. He gets pushed a little bit wider now, drops the position. Now Alves on the rear of Derbacourt. Can he try and find a move for P7 as they head down towards Junsao? No, he backs off. He knows that move can't be made there. So even though Alves was out of it at one point, he's back in this train looking to try and still fight some positions ahead here, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you consider Alves having that big tyre degradation fall off. Lillian only on 1 lap fresher tyres. So Lillian's going to be struggling with the same sort of problems that Alves is going to be facing at the moment. You see Lillian there going towards the inside, just sending a little bit of a dummy on Barry Burman, but Barry knew they were too far back to really try and make a move at that moment in time. Now it's going to be Barry's job to try and catch back up to the rear of Yannick Schmidt. Meanwhile, all of this is happening. We're seeing a titanic strategic battle happening out towards the lead. Longe knows he doesn't want to overtake for P3 because it could put him in a vulnerable position towards the end stages of this race. And we know the top 3 are very much all in that sort of mindset to save up as much battery as possible to be able to try and scurry away at the end purely down on you know, the power of the engine and the power of a battery coming into fruition. It can be a very challenging feat to do, but we have seen it done before. Think back to season 2 here as well. Again, it was a very close finish. Only 47 thousandths across the line between the top 2 runners. We could very much be seeing a very similar thing here tonight with a drag race up towards the line on lap 36, but we're still a couple laps away from that. Still a lot can happen.
Yep, lap 32 or 36 is what we'll enter on to as they exit the final corner once more here. 4 laps to go in this Brazilian Grand Prix, and it's still Jan Hode who leads. Papinta's looking to make a move for P1 once again as they head down towards turn 1. Papinta takes the lead for race clutch. What can Lekomsky do? He's looked for the move multiple times here on the back of Halliday, but this time around yet again can't find the move past the rear of the TES Mercedes. As we can see there, Godendorp dropped down to P13. As we can see Rosenberg and Welch fight side by side in towards the Curva de Sol, and Godendorp here looking to make a move ahead of it as they head their way down towards turn 4. But we can see here Schmidt under pressure here from Burman for P5 as they head their way as well. Ready to turn 4, Josh, you don't know where to look because there's battles happening everywhere. As we can see Welch and Rosenberg and Godendorp go side by side contact, and Godendorp off the circuit down at turn 5.
Oh, well, that's the worst case scenario for Williams here, minimising their points and potentially giving Race Clutch P2 in the championships. That's a catastrophe for Kieran Godendorp. If you didn't think it could get worse for him after the qualifying session, oh my, that's so unfortunate for the young racer. Hopefully he's able to continue, get back to the grindstone and try and catch up to the likes of Zalambida, but 2.4 seconds in 4 laps is going to be no easy feat for him. Meanwhile, his teammate struggling to hold on to P5 at the minute with the likes of Barry Burman, and then, of course, Felipe Sousa, Daniel Kaya, and Legion Rosenberg catching here at a rapid rate of knots. 3.1 seconds back to the soft compound tyre brothers. You would think they might be safe, depending on how much battling is going to happen up towards the front, because we have got 4 cars separated by just over 0.3 of a second. I feel like this is going to be an electrifying finale.
We have indeed a brilliant battle here for the lead, as we can see Papinta take the lead. Halliday under pressure here from Lukomsky as well. Longe looking to make a move as they head out of turn 5 side by side between Veloce Academy and TES in towards turn number 6, and Papinta not knowing where to go. So he doesn't get under pressure or get swamped by them in towards these next couple of corners, and it will still be a big battle here for P2 and P3. But now Longe looks to make a move to get himself into 3rd position in the Ferrari, round the outside at turn 9, up the inside at turn 10. What can Lukomsky do here to defend against the Ferrari? He has to go the long way around. He can't quite get the exit he wanted. So now Longe is up into 3rd, now looking to try and fight for the leaders. Yannick Schmidt's looking to make a move into P4.
Yeah, Yannick there just tagging him back at Lukomsky's car as well into the braking point at Yunsao. Clearly showing that 6-age tyre difference between the compounds, not necessarily offering the grip Lukomsky's looking for, having to brake a little bit earlier, and then of course ruining his run out of Junsao. This should be an easy overtake for Yannick, but at the same time Barry Burman's looking to try and make a move on the Williams driver, as Lukomsky is able to put one back on Nicholas Longe. This is certainly going to be an interesting feat, all the way down to see Verrera Aposta into the Cida de Largo. Who's going to be able to get the best run here out of Centre S, because all of them are somewhat compromised.
They are. We can see here Barry Burman making a move ahead of Shimon Lukomsky. Lukomsky has the inside line, pushes Barry off the circuit slightly now. Yannick Schmidt looking to get himself involved. A bit of a sandwich here for these cars as they head their way back up towards Ferrojura at turn number 6, and this has been the most popular overtake so far. That will be Lukomsky off the circuit. Barry Burman round. Barry's been tapped by Yannick Schmidt, who also goes off the circuit. So into P4 goes Lukomsky, into P5 goes Lillian Derbicourt. A bit of a big crash there between the 4th and 5th position, and Barry Burman now down to P11 in this race, and Schmidt down to 8th.
Look at Sousa. Sousa's trying to make a move on the outside of Lillian Derbicourt, who's missing a front end plate. The race clutch car has damage. This is fascinating. The TF10 driver now getting himself up into P5, and with a little bit of a gap forming now between Lukomsky and the top 3, his chances of winning this race have surely fallen slightly short for the Veloce Academy driver, but Lenny Papinta, Jan Halliday, Nicholas Longe all still in contention for this race win here. It is looking absolutely starstruck here for a finale. Nicholas Longe on the freshest tyres, but Jan Halliday and Lenny Papinta have been working together for almost the entire duration of this race, trading DRS, trading battery. They know exactly what to do. They know how to defend in this scenario. They'll be waiting for it. On lap 35 out of 36, there's a lot to be gained for these drivers, as we see Nelson Alves as well trying to push Lillian Derbicourt into a move. Lillian with that damage showing it's just causing a little bit of understeer on the car, not necessarily getting the car turned in exactly how they'd want, as Nelson Alves having to brake a little bit harder than they would like, and Yannick now finding an opportunity to try and send it up the inside again. More contact between the race clutch and Williams driver, but this time Yannick decides just to hold back, doesn't want to get the overtake after the bit of contact, because that would be a slam dunk penalty for the Williams driver.
Well, we head now shortly onto the final lap of the race. 3 stories here for the top 3. Papinta looking to get a back-to-back victory in E-Series. Halliday looking to get the first victory in podium for TES. And Nicholas Longe looking to end the championship off with a victory for the Ferrari team as they head their way down towards turn 1 to begin the final lap of this race. And we can see Longe looking for a move ahead of Halliday, and also Papinta's going to be looking to be swamped as well as they head down towards turn 1. It will be Longe into second ahead of Halliday, but let's see who can get a better exit here as they all use battery down towards turn number 4 here, and Halliday's got nothing. He's got 18% of battery to use, and actually they've all got nothing here, so no one really in a better position in terms of battery. They head into turn 4 once more. It'll be Papinta who leads ahead of Longe, ahead of Halliday, and Derbicourt here looking to get himself back into P6.
Yeah, it's all very much going to come down to these top 3 and who's got the best tyres at this moment. Who's going to feel the most comfortable to go for a late send, perhaps looking to try and get the best exit possible out of Yunsao for a drag race up towards the line. Still everything to talk about in that top 6, but we've got a titanic battle slightly further back here for P6. Yannick just getting ahead of Lillian Derbicourt. And then we're going to see the 2 F7Rs on that soft compound tyre really coming into pace, showing themselves as true contenders here for big points. But again, it might be a little bit too late for them to really try and make a charge. As they're heading up out of Yunsao, it looks like Lenny Papinta is going to be able to pick up the final race win here on F123 and the final race win here of E-Series. Certainly a fantastic job from a race clutch driver, with Nicholas Longe finishing in a close second and Jan Halliday getting TES their first podium in the final round of E-Series. Fantastic stuff.
Indeed, and we can see, of course, Ferrari take the championship here in Brazil. It will be Ferrari who win here in E-Series. A brilliant championship all, well, from round 6 along, the first 5 rounds they did quite poor. But since Austria, they have really put their foot down. They've scored podiums in every single race bar one. They've done a superb job, and now they can claim that championship. And I believe as well, it might be Racecoach who gets second place in the championship. And F7R, I'm not sure if they get past Williams here.
No, I don't believe they do.
So F7R still down in P4. Of course, what a race that was towards the end. And we can just wait till we can see the loading screen to disappear, and we can see our top 3. And it will be Pepinta who wins ahead of Longuet. Double French, first and second here in Brazil. And Jan Herde, podium for TES. Brilliant for the team to get third. As we can see as well further down, we've got Sousa in fourth ahead of Lekomsky, Schmidt, Kaya, Debecourt, Rosenberg, Alves in the top 10. Then we have Burmand in P11, followed by Welch, Hall, Santana, Beda, Lai, Godendup, Soom. And then, of course, we did lose Banashak and Benz in the race. And, of course, Enterzoom has the fastest lap with a 108.406. But lots of contact on those final laps. By Burmand involved, Alves, Debecourt. And, well, F7 are happy to get 7th and 9th there.
Yeah, certainly so. I mean, I feel like they'll be taking that one on the chin, doing something a little bit different with the strategy, but it was a thoroughly entertaining race from start to finish. I think we can be both in agreement of that. We might have to wait and see for the rest of the standings, depending on the stewards of their decisions being made over the course of a week. But I'm sure if you keep up with the social medias, we'll be able to fill you in. But to run you through the order for one last time, we've got Lenny Pepinta being the race winner, Nicolas Longuet P2, Jan Halliday P3, Felipe Sousa P4 with a brilliant return up into P4, Lekomsky falling slightly short into P5, Yannick Schmidt P6, Daniel Kaya P7, Lillian Derbecourt P8, Legend Rosenberg P9, Nelson Alves P10. Still a double points finish. TES, you can't complain about it. Fantastic race from them.
Of course, a brilliant race indeed, and a great way to end off the championship. We'll see if we can have a word from Pepinta and Longuet and Halliday in the chat. We'll just give them a quick tag, and we'll see if we can get them in. There we are, Jan Halliday, interview. Let's see if they want to pop in. We'll move ourselves over to the interview screen as well, and we can have a quick word, hopefully, from one of our top 3. But what a way it was to win the championship, Josh, and of course, it'll be £450, which goes to Ferrari, 275 to Racecoach, 175 to Williams, and then 100 to the team of F7R, who were the best community team. But we'll have a quick word from Jan as he heads his way up. Jan Halliday, welcome into the interview room, mate. Can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, and it's well, quite surprised to see you. I think what's this? The second time in about 4 weeks. This is a bit of a rare one, isn't it, Jan? But welcome in, mate.
Yeah, it is. Hello.
A brilliant job indeed. Third in the end, and to be fair, I thought at one point you might have dropped a little bit further back because those behind on the newer tyres were starting to catch up. But in the end, you did a brilliant job to defend, and in the end, get a P3, which is brilliant for the team. It's just a shame you had to wait till the final round to get a podium.
Yeah, on the final race of the season, finally we can fight, as Alonso said. But no, on the more serious note, I'm quite happy with P3 overall. Like, our results have been, let's say, very, very bad throughout the season. I think we finished P9 in the end. But yeah, at least one good race for us, and yeah, honestly quite happy with both of me and Nelson.
Yeah, Nelson I think finished P8 or P9 in the end, so good to see both of you in the top 10, and of course a P8 back in Mexico, a P9 in Las Vegas. So has anything changed in the team, because you've had a really big, you've had some really good form since round number 9?
I think like engineers are doing very good work nowadays. So I want to thank. I will use this to thank my engineers, to Alberto, Killian, and Liam. And yeah, I think we are just more relaxed, to be fair. At least for me, it is like that. And I don't know how, but I found some cool pace finally at the end of the game. So yeah, hopefully we can transition that into the next game.
Yeah, hopefully. Are you excited for the F124?
Yeah, of course.
Brilliant to hear. Well, that's all from me, mate. Well done on the third. Anything from you, Josh?
No, I mean, congratulations on third. It has been
No.
fantastic seeing your evolution. I mean, you covered all the points basically, but once again, Jan, congratulations on podium. Well earned and well deserved. Go and enjoy yourself tonight because you've really earned it today.
Yeah, I will have a beer rant or two, And also, congratulations to Lenny and Nico for the win and P2.
Well, Jan, thanks for joining us, mate. And
Yes.
maybe we'll see you again next game. So we'll next speak to Nicholas Longo, who finished in second. Nicholas, mate, welcome in. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Good evening, guys.
Brilliant. So, very good race. Second in the end. Took a bit of an overcut strategy. Obviously, started on the soft, and it worked out quite well. But there was quite a bit of carnage towards the end. Unfortunately, Barry got caught up in it. But you managed to come home P2, and of course, to take the championship. I suppose it was a nice way to win it, wasn't it? Getting a podium.
Yeah, of course, the race was pretty chaotic from what I saw. The moment I saw that there was like 10 people on softs, I knew that I just had to do something different. Obviously, it's not the what's it called, the favorite strategy to go that long on the soft. As we see, it's very hard to overtake even with much fresher tires. So I just tried something different and help Barry at the same time by being with him on the train, which I think kind of worked. And yeah, still fought my way up to P2.
Yeah, of course. And Ferrari obviously getting back-to-back championships here in the E-Series. Obviously, last season you won it by over 100 points. This season you won it by, I believe, over 70. So still a brilliant job from the team. So well done on that second, and of course, well done on the championship. That's all from me. Anything from you, Josh?
I mean, how well you and Barry worked when you were still out on that decaying soft tyre. God only knows how awful it must have felt out there. But you was able to keep with them the DRS, being able to give Barry the DRS, and then even after Barry overtook you, you was able to hang it behind him and somewhat just be a little bit of a disruptor to Yannick. It was fantastic to see. It was a thoroughly entertaining race from you, watching you slide your way all the way back through the field. Overall, congratulations on the championship and a very well-deserved P2. Well done, mate. It was just
Thank you very much.
Truly brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. And mate, we'll see you again, hopefully, on next game when we're back here for
Oh, big time you
E-Series.
will.
Brilliant to hear, mate. Have a good one.
Thank you, you guys. You too.
And next we'll speak to Lenny Pepinter, who won the race. Lenny, it's been 3 times in a week we spoke to you here in the commentary box. So welcome in once again on the back of another victory. Definitely a hard-fought one, not like it was last week in F2 when you won by 4 seconds, but in the end you could win it today by just over half a second.
Yeah, pretty good race from my side. Pretty calm race. Just try to stay in front of F7R because that was our rivals in the championship.
Mm-hmm.
But he even gained P2 in front of Williams. So
yeah, very good job indeed. And obviously, I think going into the season, you looked very strong at the start, and then the team kind of dropped off a little bit. You had a few unfortunate results, but in the end, you got a win last week. You won this time around. That has really helped you, jump yourself up into second now. What was your expectation going into this season of E-Series?
of course, trying to get into the top 3 of the championship. That's quite done now. So just happy with the results.
Yeah, definitely. I think you did a very good job indeed. Obviously, getting that bitch last week and here again, as I just said. Do we plan to see you next time on the next game?
Hoping to.
Yeah, that's brilliant to hear. Brilliant to hear indeed. So congratulations on second, and of course, congratulations to Lillian as well on getting in the top 10. And that's all from me. Anything from you, Josh?
Once again, fantastic race. Pleasure to see you once again, Lenny. Back-to-back wins here in E-Series. Question remains, Season 4 of E-Series, presumably going to be on the new game. I don't see why we would run it on an old one. Do you feel like Race Clutch has enough to be able to go on and win?
Yeah, I think we have enough with the work we are putting behind the scenes, so I think we have enough to defend our chances.
Indeed,
Lovely.
That is brilliant to hear, mate. So, Lenny, mate, thank you for joining us and enjoy that victory once again, and we'll see you on F124.
Thank you very much. See you.
Right, so we head our way back over to the intermission screen in a second. Once I can not leak the Discord. Like
Yeah,
I've actually
we've got-
managed to do that for 2 weeks in a row now, Josh, without leaking it. So I'm very happy.
I know. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you. But
It took me 10 races to do it, but
it's okay. We got there. That's what matters. It's about the journey we've been on. And what a journey we've been on for this series. It's been fantastic.
It has. It has been utterly brilliant, of course. Season 2 on this game as well, and we had a bit less of an interesting championship as Ferrari won it all the way to the end. But this season we had a really good fight for first, we had a good fight for second, third and fourth, and also down for 9th and 10th in the championship, which is brilliant to see everyone getting themselves into a battle. And unfortunately, Josh, on the PC side, this is the last stream of the game. F1 23, it's farewell. Obviously, we have the PS streams on Monday for obviously the PS side.
Final rounds, yeah.
Yeah, and it's been a nice game, hasn't it? It's been better than 22.
Yes.
It's been more stable than I think than 21 because there was a few issues with the servers. So this game I think has been very, very nice. I think the best since 20, in my opinion. The grids have been really close. There's been lots of activity from the drivers, lots of practice, lots of new upcoming drivers working their way through. And also, it's been nice to see involvement from the esports teams taking part in stuff like PSGL series. We didn't see that before, but we've had lots of Ferrari, Williams, R8G, Race, which all take part in E-Series, which is brilliant to see them not just focusing on F1 sim racing. I think we know the reason why also they've been putting so much time here, but, you know, they've still had the effort to come here and perform in PSGL.
It's one thing to sit there and sort of rest on the laurels, not really care too much, but showing that they're willing to give back to this community who gives so much of their time, their dedication, their support to these teams, and even showing up in E-Series means the world to some of the fans. I know for me, for example, this part last year, I was just finishing up with the Alpine Community Cup, and the only time I would have previously talked to any of these drivers or really interacted with them on a personal level would have been with my work I previously did with Gfinity for the F1 sim racing commentary radio clipping part. But you know, the fact that they're more than willing to sit here, talk to us in interviews afterwards. Most of the time as well, we will see him just hiding around in a general chat. I like to see Yona Martins getting involved as well. It is a fantastic community here at PSGL. I encourage everyone to come try and get yourselves involved, even if it's a racer, commentator, whatever it might be, even a steward. Come get yourself involved. It's a fantastic opportunity for yourselves and for those around you to really try and flourish into this world of sim racing, which is growing every single day, and PSGL is a great example of that, and E-Series especially. I do have to say, once again, thank you to yourself, and thank you for Connor for having me in the E-Series box. It's been an absolute pleasure for this entire season.
Yeah, it has been brilliant to obviously be back here for my second and a half season here commentating in E-Series, and I've got to say this season has been absolutely brilliant. But also a big thank you to GT Omega for helping sponsor this series. Without them, it wouldn't go ahead as planned and as brilliant as it did. So, of course, thanks to them as usual. And also thanks to SRC for being our sponsors and also taking part in the series, finishing P6 in the championship in the end. They did a great job after launching their team a week before PSGL series begun. But so I think, well, that's all from me and Josh here on F1 23. You'll see us once again in around probably 2 months' time when we venture back in to the PSGL League Racing, where we'll be on a brand new game. And of course, with a couple of new cars, because we had some different teams changes between F1 23 and F1 24. So you'll see a few new cars, few new faces in the commentary box, a few new faces on the track, and we can't wait to welcome you back for that in a couple of months' time. So once again, thank you all for joining, and we'll be back again on the next game for the hopefully another season of the PSGL Series Championship. For now, goodbye.
Goodbye.